A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's go. Let's go. Firefighters. Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll join Chief Cody and rookie fireman Tim Collins in the control cockpit of the huge airliner droning its way through the clouds. A few minutes ago, Tim had settled back to enjoy his first airplane ride, thinking only of the vacation ahead. Then, suddenly, Chief Cody is summoned to the pilot's compartment by Captain Lorenzo. Fire has broken out in the after baggage compartment, and the pilot has asked the chief to investigate. Well, we'll learn the next thrilling development when we join them right after this message. Let's go, firefighters. Let's get aboard the giant airliner winging its way through the dark far above the earth. The pretty stewardess, who is still trying to make Bobby Bunker, the co-pilot, comfortable after being overcome by the fumes from the CO2 extinguishers in the baggage compartment. Well, the passengers, reassured by Chief Cody's words, are trying to make the best of the situation they do not wholly understand. And in the privacy of the control cockpit, Captain Lance Lorenzo turns to Chief Cody and Tim Collins to say grimly,
"Tail control is still acting up, but I'm getting some response from it now."
That's more than I can say for your radio, Captain. I sure did a thorough job on it.
It's out completely, Tim?
Dead, Chief. I had to be the one who knocked out our communication.
Well, it's my fault you were thrown against the panel, Collins. When the ship gave that terrific lurch, you were caught off guard.
You didn't know you'd have trouble with the tail control, Captain. So stop apologizing, both of you. We may be in a bad spot, but we're far from licked.
Roger. How'd the fire look when you checked last, Chief?
Fumes in the compartment, lots of smoke. Not much chance of getting at the source itself until we land and can really dig into it.
Oh, what I wouldn't give for a good flying hook and ladder right now.
Maybe we'll have something like that in a few years, Collins. But right now we're going to have to set down where one's handy.
You're going to radio ahead to the airport now with the equipment dead, Captain Lorenzo.
Tell you both the truth. My guess is we don't have time to make that airport, radio or no radio.
Can you make an emergency landing in this vicinity, son?
Vicinity covers a lot of space in a plane, Chief Cody. We'll find a spot. Can you reach that case to your right, Collins?
This here?
Yeah. It's a chart case. Open it and pull out, number 17, I think it is.
Yeah. All right, I've got it.
Good.
If I spread it out here, can you see it?
Sure. Oh, Chief, that button there, and we'll have a bit of light to read it by.
All right.
Good. Now then, let's see.
Oh, look at that, would you, Tim? Makes our district maps look like pretty small potatoes.
Yes, sir. Take me a year to learn to read this chart, sir.
Not at all. Simple when you get used to them. And I think we're getting our first break since the fire broke out.
Found a landing field nearby?
Oh, if so, give us the answer in minutes rather than miles.
Okay. Only this time, don't forget, you're not going to a fire.
Oh, that's a fact. This time we're carrying her with us. And that must be a new experience even for you, Chief.
And one a bit too dangerous to want to repeat, Tim. What about this airport, Captain?
I'd say about 10 minutes away.
Huh?
Off my regular course, north by northeast, so I don't know it too well. Set up by a small charter company outside of Milltown.
How about landing facilities?
Landing strip in good condition, plenty long enough. They must use good-sized ships if they carry freight.
How about landing at night? Dangerous?
No. Field like this is bound to be well lighted. All we have to worry about is getting there in time.
Oh, that's all, huh? Well, anyway, we can tell what our chances are?
Well, Private Collins, I understand we've got one of the best men in the profession among our passengers when it comes to judging fires. A certain Chief Cody.
A certain Chief Cody feels kind of helpless right now. But if another check on that luggage compartment will help...
It would, and I'd appreciate it. Just be careful you don't black out like my co-pilot did when he got in there.
The Chief knows his stuff too well for that. Can I give you a hand, sir?
No, thanks, son. The less excitement around that spot, the less chance of panic among the passengers.
Nothing on earth can stop that if the fire breaks through into their area, Chief.
Or if heavy smoke begins to pour in, for that matter.
Well, if we keep calm, it'll be a good example for the others. And the way that stewardess has gone about her business, as though little things like this happened every day. Well, I got a mind to sign her up for Engine Company 32 back home.
Not a chance, Chief. You tell Peggy that if and when I owe her a dinner for the job she's doing keeping things under control out there.
I'll see if I can do as well. Here goes.
A few minutes later, Chief Cody emerges from the baggage compartment and sits down breathlessly. The stewardess, Peggy Taft, joins him a moment later. Her eyes troubled, but she says quietly and calmly,
Are you all right, Chief Cody? You look a bit woozy.
I'll be all right in a second, Peggy. I only had a mask. I might accomplish something in there.
Isn't it too late for that? Tell me honestly.
Well, yes, you're right. I hate to admit it, but that fire in the baggage has got us licked till we get our feet on the ground.
How much time do we have left?
Not too much, and that's a fact.
We're off our course. I can tell by the lights down below a while back. The skipper making an emergency landing?
Yes, he's heading for what sounds like a perfect spot to land.
But there isn't one good airport between... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
You mean you think he made the picture sound a little better to Tim and me than it really is?
Well, he must have, yes. But don't worry, Chief Cody. The skipper's one of the best. He could set us down in an old cow pasture. Well, that is...
That is what, Peggy?
Well, I know this territory. And even under perfect conditions, a night landing is a tricky thing, Chief. Mountains, for one thing.
Well, let's not borrow trouble till we get there.
Well, we've been doing some circling, so I think we're already there, wherever that is. Uh-oh, there's my light. The skipper's flashing for me. Or for you.
Well, we'll both go. I'll put on your best smile. A few words with the passengers on our way for the sake of appearances. And we'll find out what's what.
A moment later, the chief and the young stewardess crowd into the control cockpit behind Captain Lorenzo and Tim Collins in the co-pilot seat beside him.
Close the door, Peggy. This is a private conference. Now, take a look below at those beautiful blue eyes and tell Collins and me what you see.
Well, we could use a lot more moonlight, Skipper, but that ribbon of light to the left must be the Severn River.
That's just what you said, Captain.
Yeah. But there's something wrong. What else, Peggy?
Well, where the sky is blotted out just beyond the river, I'm afraid those are the mountains.
Right. And according to those moving lights on the other side, that's Highway 24 with a dandy series of high-tension wires running alongside of it.
I'm afraid you drew us a kind of optimistic picture a while ago, Captain.
Well, I didn't see the point in worrying you, Chief. But none of this stuff worries me. What gets me is that pitch-black hunk of nothing underneath us. Am I right, Peggy?
Oh, you must be, Lance. The Stratford Airfield must be there.
Then what the dickens are they hiding it for? Where are their lights? We've got to set down there or else.
Well, it's not on any of our routes, Skipper, but I've heard some of the pilots mention it. It's not the world's best field.
I don't care if it's the world's worst. I could bring us in there okay, but not in pitch black. For Pete's sake, what are they doing, saving electricity?
You said something about this charter company handling mostly freight for a mill town here.
Yeah, the chief's right. They're just not expecting any landings tonight. That's why it's dark.
We ought to see lights from the hangar, from some of the buildings. Oh, well. I've had the landing signal on since you came in, Peggy.
Right, Skipper. I'll go out and see all the passengers have their belts fastened. Good luck.
You're not trying a landing in pitch black, are you, son?
That'd be suicide, Chief. But I'll give that field a buzz that would wake the dead.
What? You're going down, buzz the field between mountains on one side and high-tension wires on the other?
Nothing else we can do, Collins. We've got to attract their attention. Get those lights on. Get yourself anchored beside him, Chief, because here we go.
Okay.
Buzzed that field twice now and still no signs of life. If they don't know we're in trouble now, they never will.
Yet there must be somebody there, Captain. You said you caught a glimpse of that light in one of the buildings, didn't you, Chief?
I'm sure of it, Tim. On our last swing down, there's somebody at that airfield, no question about it.
How much more time before that fire and back really breaks loose, Chief? 20 minutes?
That's hard to say, but less than that, I'd estimate.
Too bad. If we're going to set this ship down, this has to be the place. We'll buzz them once more.
Well, that won't help. They must have heard us before.
Tim's right. You're sure this field has lights?
Of course, Chief Cody. But I don't see how we can contact them now.
How about a parachute? You got such a thing?
Yes, but who'd handle the plane with my co-pilot?
I wasn't thinking of you or Bunker, Captain.
You're not thinking that you, Tim.
Well, why not, Chief? I could bail out.
Oh, listen to him, would you? His first plane trip,
Well,
too.
you've got what it takes, Collins, but...
Well, the point is someone's got to get whoever it is at that field, get those lights on while there's still hope.
But to hit the silk in the dark, over territory you don't know...
I'll take my chance, Captain. The life of every person in this plane depends on your making a landing. And mighty soon. If either of you can think of any other way, let's hear it.
Only the steady drone of the plane answers Tim's question. Neither Captain Lorenzo nor Chief Cody can see any other way now of getting landing lights. Not only is it a tough decision to make, but if Tim makes the drop successfully, what then? Is there a reason for their failure to attract attention up to this point? For the answer, be sure to listen to the next exciting episode of the Firefighters. In just a moment, Fire Chief Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But right now, let's listen to this message. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a message for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. A number of fires recently brought to the front of my mind again the fact that dirty and defective chimneys are a leading cause of fires. I figured I'd bring a couple of things to your attention before your chimney decided to do it for me. Better that way, don't you think? Well, see that your folks have that chimney cleaned of soot regularly. You yourself can check for cracks and holes, notice if there are any places where the mortar or bricks are loose, and report it at once. A simple task, but mighty important. So thanks a lot. And now, till we meet next time, this is Chief Cody saying so long.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
I said, let's go! Let's go! Fire! Fire!
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Homicide Division. You get a call that the body of a dead man has been found in a vacant lot. The man has been beaten to death. Your job, investigate. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, February 6th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Homicide Division. My partner is Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Warman. My name's Friday. It was 10:14 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. Frank?
In here, Joe.
Right. Hi. Morning, Skipper.
Joe, Smith says you ran into a bad one out there in Fountain.
Yeah, we did. Must have been quite a fight out there. The victim's clothes were pretty well torn up. The ground around the body was all trampled. Wonder we could tell that much.
How do you mean?
Well, the body was found by a couple of schoolgirls. The vacant lot out there near Fountain and Selma. Girls took a shortcut through the lot, and when they saw the body, they let out enough screams to get the whole neighborhood over there.
Mother put in the call. By the time the radio unit got there, the neighbors had walked over the whole area. They got the people back right away, but most of the physical evidence, if there was any, had been trampled out. It helps. Any of those people see or hear anything?
No, nothing.
How was he killed?
We found a big piece of concrete near the body, bloodstains on it. The crime lab's checking it now.
Did they find anything else?
No, they're still checking the scene. Lee's going to call. Crowd made such a mess out of the place.
A lot of houses around there. Somebody must have heard something.
Well, we talked to a young girl who lives a couple of doors down from the lot. Seemed she and her boyfriend were coming home from a show. Said about 9:45, 10 o'clock, they noticed a car parked in front of the lot.
Yeah.
The girl said they noticed it right away. Afraid it might be some guys out to cause trouble. She told us that when she and her boyfriend walked by, they heard loud talking, men arguing.
Mm-hmm. She able to describe the car? Just said it was a dark sedan, late model, 51 or 52.
We checked the boyfriend. He told about the same story. He said he thought the car was a dark blue Ford.
Mm.
Well, anyway, the girl said she got scared and went right into the house. A few minutes later, they heard a car tear by. They looked up the street, and the parked car was gone.
This was around 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right.
That might make it about the time of the killing.
Well, we'll know better when the body's posted.
The girl or her boyfriend able to describe the men? No, so, Skipper. All they could tell us was it looked like there were two men in the car. Said they couldn't get a good look at them. License number?
No. The boy said he thought of taking it down, but he didn't.
Tough break. Hanson and Cummings helped check the neighborhood. They didn't do any better. Seems like everybody in the vicinity was away for the evening.
Anything from the coroner, Frank?
No, Hanson just brought this in. Guy's with all the stuff in his pockets.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Driver's license. Name's John Allen Iverson. Address been scratched. No, here it is, on the back. Had it changed. 6295 North Serrano Avenue. Height 5'9", born October 2nd, 23. Make it 28, huh?
That's right.
Weight 136, eyes hazel, brown hair.
What else did you need?
Calendar from an oil company, blank check, picture of a puppy, Dalmatian, huh?
Yeah, looks like it, doesn't it?
Picture of a woman. Let's see that. Here, wait a minute. Here's a card. Case of accident, please notify Mrs. Alfred Iverson, mother, 6295 Serrano Avenue, Hollywood 98844.
Probably her picture.
She been notified yet?
No, not yet.
Keys, comb, nail file, cigarettes, couple of slugs. Good for one play. Match folder.
Let me see that, huh? George's Pool and Snooker, Burbank Boulevard.
Yeah. Found $13.42 in his pocket. He was wearing a wristwatch, too.
Yeah, the watch looked new. It was expensive.
Money in the watch still there. Doesn't look like robbery.
No, not much. Seems a thief would have taken him anyway.
Any ideas on the motive?
Well, it's hard to say, Skipper. Could be almost anything.
Not much to go on. Lousy thing.
Yeah, and it's not getting any better.
Yeah?
We got to tell his mother now. 10:50 a.m. We called Lee Jones to see if he'd been able to come up with any new information. He told us that besides the piece of cement, his crew had been able to find little other physical evidence. Tests of the blood found on the concrete were not finished, but Lee said that it looked like the murder weapon. Although the ground around the body was fairly soft, the people in the neighborhood effectively obliterated any footprints that the killer might have left. We were faced with the old problem. The average citizen, in an attempt to be helpful, had unknowingly destroyed what physical evidence we might have found. We went by R&I and checked the name John Allen Iverson without result. 11:35 a.m. Frank and I signed out and drove to the address listed on Iverson's driver's license, 6295 North Serrano Avenue. It was a small frame cottage set well back on the lot. The yard was well kept, and as we climbed the front stairs, we could hear a dog barking in the rear of the house. We rang the bell, and the lady in her middle 60s answered the door. It was the woman in the picture that we found in Iverson's wallet.
Yes?
Mrs. Iverson?
Yes?
Police officers, ma'am. I'd like to talk to you if we could.
Well, of course. Won't you come in?
Thank you very much.
You'll have to excuse the way I look. I was in the middle of baking. What was it you wanted, officer? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't remember your name.
Joe Friday, ma'am. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you? Is it about the dog barking at night? We've tried to keep him quiet. Alarm clocks, hot water bottles, everything. He's just a puppy, though, officers. He doesn't know.
No, ma'am. It's not about the dog. It's about your boy.
John? What's he done?
Well, he's had an accident, Miss Iverson.
An accident? John?
Yes, ma'am.
Serious?
Yes, ma'am. Pretty serious.
You sure it's my boy? John Allen Iverson?
Yes, ma'am. It's your boy.
He's in a hospital. Is that it?
No, ma'am. He's not in the hospital.
Not in the hospital? He's dead?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
John Allen Iverson? You're sure?
Yes, ma'am. We're sure.
Oh, no. It can't be. I won't let it be. John, my baby. You've got to be wrong.
No, I'm sorry, ma'am.
John dead. Go away from me. For always. Why did it have to be John? Why?
It's always the same question, isn't it?
Yeah. How do you answer it? Frank put in a call to Mrs. Iverson's doctor. 5 minutes later, he arrived and gave her a sedative. We asked if we could talk to her, and he told us that it'd be all right if we kept the questioning brief. He explained that Mr. Iverson, John's father, had died 2 years before, and that his passing had hit Mrs. Iverson pretty hard. He said that it'd be a few minutes before the sedative took full effect and that we might talk to the woman until then. Frank and I walked into the bedroom.
I hope you'll forgive me for crying.
Yes, ma'am, we understand, Miss Iverson. There are a few questions we'd like to ask you.
How did it happen? Auto accident?
No, ma'am, he was murdered.
Murdered? Why? Who did it? Have you caught him yet?
No, not yet, ma'am. That's why we need your help.
Anything I can do? Anything at all? John murdered. Doesn't seem possible. So hard to believe.
Yes, ma'am. Was there anyone you might know of who didn't like your son? Someone who might have hated him enough to do this?
No one. No one at all. John had a lot of friends. Wasn't anybody who didn't like him. Bright and cheery, always smiling. I'm sorry. Please, I want to help. Get this over with. Go ahead with the questions.
Perfectly right, ma'am. Like my handkerchief?
Oh, thank you. Now, what was it you were asking?
Could you tell us where your son worked?
Airplane factory out in the valley. He was an inspector. Just got a promotion and a raise. He was so proud. First rung of the ladder, he said, on his way up.
Mm-hmm. What factory did he work at, ma'am?
Webster's. They make parts. John worked the morning shift, midnight to 7 in the morning. Said there was a better chance for advancement on the morning shift.
How about girls, ma'am? Anyone special your son saw quite a bit of?
Oh, just Alice. Alice Johnston. Saw her quite a bit. He was going to see her last night. Had a date for 6:30.
When did he leave the house, do you recall?
Oh, 6:15 or so. Alice just lives a few doors down the street. John was going to take her to a championship match over in Burbank.
Ma'am?
Billiards.
Oh.
John loved to play billiards. Alice liked it, too. John always said that when he got married, he's going to have a table right in the house.
Do you happen to remember where in Burbank this billiard match was going to be held?
I'm not sure, but I think John said at George's place, right on Burbank Boulevard.
Do you know if your son had a large amount of money with him when he left?
Well, he had his week's pay with him. He just cashed his check this afternoon, and then he gave me the $30 for the house. He had the rest of it.
About how much would that be?
Oh, maybe $40, $45.
How about jewelry, ma'am? You carry any rings, anything like that?
No, John didn't believe in wearing a ring. Said he'd do that when he got married. There was his watch. He had that.
Wristwatch, ma'am?
Yes, he always carried. He kept perfect time.
Mm-hmm. Did your son have a car, Miss Iverson?
Yes, a Ford, 1951 Ford.
What color, do you know?
Dark blue. Pretty car. He was so proud of it.
I wonder if you'd have the license number of the car, ma'am.
Yes, I think you'll find it with the phone book in the bureau. He kept all his papers there.
I wonder if it'd be all right if we got it, ma'am.
Yes, all right.
Thank you. This it, ma'am?
Yes, that's it. I still can't believe it.
Yes, ma'am.
It's going to be a hard thing to get used to, isn't it?
Ma'am?
Life without a son.
12:40 p.m. Frank and I drove back to the office and checked the license number we'd gotten through DMV. The car was registered to a John Allen Iverson, 6295 North Serrano Avenue. Legal owner, Bank of America. A local and an all-points bulletin were gotten out on the car, all occupants to be held for investigation. In the event the car was found abandoned, a stakeout was to be placed on it and homicide was to be notified. We checked the name Alice Johnstone through R&I, but there was no record on her. 1:50 p.m. Frank and I drove out to her place of employment, an unpainted furniture factory on Ventura Boulevard. We questioned the girl for a good hour, and she explained that John Iverson was usually on time for his dates with her, but the previous night he'd called to say that he'd be a little late. He called several more times and finally said that he was afraid they'd better cancel the date and that he'd call for her in the morning. She told us that she could think of no reason for anyone to be jealous of her spending so much time with Iverson, that he was the only date that she'd had for over a year. She gave us names and addresses of mutual friends to add to the list we already had to check out. 3:05 p.m. Frank and I went for something to eat. Is that all you're going to eat, Frank? Just that little salad?
Yeah, Elizabeth's got the idea I ought to cut down on my lunches. Said I'm getting too heavy around the middle.
Oh, that's too bad. Chili was good.
Yeah, it looks good. Pretty spicy, was it?
No, just right. A lot of beef.
Uh-huh. Joe?
Yeah?
You think I'm getting too fat?
No, you don't look it to me.
When a man gets in his 30s, he's supposed to look a little portly, isn't he?
Oh, I don't know, Frank. You couldn't prove by me.
I always heard so. My father was pretty heavy. That has a lot to do with it.
That's so?
Well, sure, it's heredity, that stuff. A lot of beef, huh?
Yeah, now look, Frank, why don't you have a bowl of the chili? It doesn't look like it's got too many calories in it.
No, it doesn't, does it? Miss? Oh, miss, could I have a bowl of that chili? Some of that coconut cream pie, too. Thanks.
Yeah, right away.
What do you figure, Joe, about the Iverson?
No, I can't figure it. If we could just come up with a motive, it might be easier. Give us some place to start.
Yeah. Young kid. Seemed everybody liked him.
It looks that way. I've been thinking about that robbery angle. His mother said he left the house with about $45, didn't she? Now, we find him, and he's only got 13 of it left. Where'd the rest go? And that watch. If anybody was going to hold him up, they'd take the watch. They could have gotten something for it.
Figure revenge? Jealousy?
I don't know. The girl said there wasn't any reason for that. Look, as soon as you finish your lunch, let's check the place he worked. The guys he worked with, maybe they can give us the answer. It's been done before.
Yeah?
Iverson. He just got a raise and a promotion. Maybe somebody thought they should have got it. Before we left the lunchroom, we called the list of names into R&I. 3:32 p.m. Frank and I drove out to the aircraft plant where John Iverson had been employed. We checked with the foreman of the shop, the men he worked with, the personnel office, everyone he came in contact with during the day's work. They all gave us the same answer, that they could see no reason why anyone would want to take his life. 4:56 p.m. The list of names we'd given R&I had come back with no make. None of the names had any criminal record. We called the county morgue and found that the coroner had posted the body and that the cause of death was listed as a subarachnoid hemorrhage due to multiple depressed fractures of the skull. Lee Jones had finished the test and was able to tell us that the piece of concrete found at the scene was more than likely the murder weapon. 6:15 p.m. Frank and I drove over to Burbank to George's Pool and Snooker Hall. It was a big place with a lot of neon over the entrance. Inside, there were about 10 tables with a row of theater chairs on each side of the large room. Just off the entrance was a small bar. Except for a man brushing off the table, the place was empty.
Hi, what'll it be? Pool, billiards, or snooker?
You the manager here?
No, I'm not. I kind of run the place, though, when he's not here. Something I can do?
We're police officers. My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do? I'm Sam Howard.
Were you on duty here last night, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, until about midnight. I leave then. Sometimes when George asks me, I stay on, but I usually shove off about midnight. Why, anything wrong? I can get George on the phone.
You know a man by the name of Iverson, John Iverson? You ever see him around here?
Iverson? There's an awful lot of guys come in here, hard to tell. What's he look like?
5'9", about 136 pounds, brown hair. Likes to play billiards, I understand.
John... Yeah, I think I know who you mean. Never knew his last name before, but he comes in here quite a bit. Always plays billiards, 3 cushion.
You see him last night?
There were an awful lot of people here last night. Had a match, pretty crowded.
Well, was he in here last night?
Well, yeah. Came in, watched the match for a while, then he sat up at the bar, had a couple of beers.
Was he drinking with anybody?
Let me think. Yeah, he and another guy were talking it up. The other guy was popping for the drink.
You know the other man?
No, sir. Don't think I ever saw him before.
About what time was that?
Gee, it's hard to say. I was pretty busy.
It's important, Mr. Howard.
Like that, huh? Well, I'd say it was 7 o'clock, maybe 7:30. Johnny came in first. He watched the matches for a while. Then when this other guy came in, they both moved to the bar. Stayed there talking till about 9:30, 9:45. Then they walked out together.
They were together all evening then?
Yeah, near as I can tell.
What did this other man look like?
Let me think. I'd say he was maybe 36, 37, had kind of dark hair.
How tall would you say he was?
Well, about your height, 5'10" or 11. Had on a plaid sport jacket. I noticed that because I've been looking for one like it. You know, sort of Glen plaid, only with more color. Not exactly loud.
What color was the jacket?
Blue. Real rich blue. Must have cost a fellow a lot.
During the conversation, did Iverson and this other man seem to get along all right?
Oh, yeah. Even when the fellow lost the bet.
What bet?
Yeah, they had a bet on a match. The other guy lost, and he had to pay Johnny $10. Didn't have the cash, had to cash a check.
You cash it here?
Yeah, it was a payroll check. George doesn't like it when we cash personal checks. If they bounce, we have to stand the laws.
Do you think we could locate that check, Mr. Howard? Do you happen to remember the company name on it?
No, not right off. I can get it for you.
Sure.
Well, George wasn't feeling too well today, so he didn't get to the bank. Check's still in the safe.
The check was issued from the Kimberly Insurance Company and made out to Martin G. Weber. The endorsement was made by Weber with a notation of his address under the signature. We called the office and had the name run through R&I. There was no record on him. According to the information we've gotten from Sam Howard, the last time the victim was seen alive at 9:45 p.m., he was in the company of Martin Weber. Frank and I got in the car and drove out to the Kimberly Insurance Company. It was a large building on San Fernando Road. The employees were leaving the building when Frank and I got to the office of the general manager. We asked him about Weber, and he told us that he'd been with the firm for the past 10 years, starting as a runner on the floor and rising to the position of office manager. He told us further that in his entire 10 years of service, Weber had never been late or missed a day's work. However, on that particular morning, he hadn't shown up at all. We called our office and arranged for a stakeout on the building of the insurance company. Frank and I drove out to Weber's home, a modern apartment house in the North Hollywood area. We rang the bell, but there was no answer. We checked with the landlord, and he told us that he hadn't seen Weber the night before. In the company of the manager, we checked Weber's apartment. He was not there, and from what we could see, the bed had not been slept in. In further checking, the manager was able to give us the name and address of Weber's sister, a Mrs. Madge Wilson. We arranged for a stakeout on the apartment. 9:20 p.m. Frank and I drove over to check with his sister.
Yes?
Ms. Wilson?
That's right.
Police officers, Ms. Wilson. I'd like to talk to you. My name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Come in. But I thought all this had been cleared up.
Ma'am?
Well, you hear about my brother Martin, don't you?
Well, yes, ma'am. I don't think I understand.
Neither do I. It seems to me that you'd spend your time trying to find out why the man did it instead of bothering us. My husband won't like this at all. We're taxpayers. We've got rights.
Just a minute, ma'am. I think maybe there's a misunderstanding.
Nothing of the sort. You're here to talk about Martin, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am.
No misunderstanding at all. He had an accident. It's up to you to take care of the man who did it. Put him in jail for a long time.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wilson. I'm not sure we know what you're talking about.
Well, this is the limit. My poor husband spends practically the whole night filling out forms, and you didn't even take time to read them. I'm talking about Martin's accident. The man who ran him down last night, put him in the hospital, broke his leg. That's what I'm talking about. I've got 2 kids upstairs with bad colds, and I haven't got time to stand around and talk to you. If there's anything else you want to know, you can talk to my husband. He'll tell you.
You say your brother was run down by a car last night, ma'am?
Yes, last night.
And he's in the hospital now?
Yes.
Now, look, we're only trying to conduct an investigation, ma'am. Could you tell us what time this accident happened and where?
All right. It's on the report, if you'd only read it.
Yes, ma'am.
Martin was on his way home last night. He stepped off the curb out on Burbank Boulevard, and this car came right around the corner and hit him. Broke his leg. Sent him to the hospital. He's been there ever since. He's there now.
What time did this happen, ma'am? Do you know?
Sure I know. It was 9:45.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
When we explained about John Iverson's death to Mrs. Wilson, she was extremely apologetic about the way she'd acted. She went on to say that her brother did have an appointment with Iverson the night before. We put in a call to Sergeant Erbson of the Accident Record Bureau downtown, and he told us that there was a traffic accident report which listed the time of the accident at 9:46, corroborating the story given us by Mrs. Wilson. Weber had been given emergency treatment at Georgia Street and then transferred to General Hospital. From what Sam Howard had told us, we knew that Iverson had been alive at approximately 9:45 p.m. The deputy coroners fixed the time of death at approximately 10 or 10:30 p.m. The fact that Martin Weber had been run down by a car at 9:46 p.m. seemed to absolve him of any part in the crime. The stakeouts at his place of business and his home were removed. Frank and I drove over to General Hospital to interview Martin Weber. His leg was in traction, but he seemed to be in good spirits.
I was on my way home, just stepped off the curb to catch a bus. Next thing I know, I looked up right into a pair of headlights. Almost scared me to death. And whammo, I was on the street, my leg broken. Oh, well, I'm covered. The whole thing won't cost me a cent.
Yes, sir. We were talking to Sam Howard over at George's billiard hall. He said you were there with John Iverson last night. That right?
Yeah, that's right. I had a talk with old John. Had a big business deal, trying to sell him some insurance.
Oh, I didn't know you were a salesman, Mr. Weber.
Well, I'm not really. Office manager. I don't like the job. Figured if I could bring in a good sale, the boss might let me have a crack at selling.
Well, did Iverson give you any indication that he wanted any insurance?
Well, not right off. He's always been worried about his mother, though. You know, if anything should happen to him.
Yeah.
Anyway, a couple of days ago, one of the pressmen out at the plant where John works was killed. Accident. I thought this might be a good chance to try to sell John some coverage. You know, life. Leave his mother a little something.
Yes, sir.
Well, old John wasn't an easy one, let me tell you. Told me he wasn't completely sold on insurance yet, and then he said he'd leave it up to the billiard match.
Sir?
If the championship changed hands, then John would buy some insurance. If it didn't, I had to pay him $10. I lost. Had to cash my paycheck to do it, too. Yeah, those are the breaks, though, aren't they? Lose a sale and then get hit by a car. So what's this all about, anyway? Why all the questions about old John?
Well, he was killed last night, Mr. Weber.
Killed? What do you mean?
He was murdered.
Well, how did it happen?
That's what we're trying to find out, sir. While you were at the bar with Iverson, did you see him talk to anyone besides you?
No, he made a couple of phone calls, said they were to his girlfriend, but that's about all. Wait a minute.
Yeah?
When we got outside the bar, there were a couple of guys that came up and talked to him.
Had these men been in the bar?
Yeah, come to think of it, they were sitting right next to us. When I had to cash that check, I didn't have a pen to endorse it, and one of the guys gave me his to use.
You ever seen them before?
No, I don't think I ever did.
Can you describe the men, Mr. Weber, what they looked like?
I didn't pay much attention to him. One of the fellows was a big guy, maybe 6 feet or more, a couple of 100 pounds anyway.
How old would you say?
Oh, maybe 37, around there. I'd know him if I saw him again.
Well, how's that, sir?
The scar, he had a scar right across here on his forehead. Made him look like he was frowning all the time.
How about the other man?
I'm afraid I can't be of much help there. He was short, 5'5" or 6", heavy, 180 more or less. I think he was wearing a flannel suit. I can't be sure about that.
You saw these men out on the sidewalk with Iverson right after you left the bar, is that right?
Yeah. After I told John goodnight, I walked over to the corner. I saw these two fellows come up to John, and from what I could hear, they were asking for a lift someplace.
He gave him a ride, did he?
I don't know. I saw my bus come and made a run for it.
Was there anything else you can tell us about these men that might help? Anything at all? Any little thing you might remember?
Gee, not that I can remember. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to them. Just a couple of guys sitting next to us. One of them lent me his pen.
Well, how about the pen? With any initials on it?
No. It was the tall guy, the one with the scar. He loaned it to me. It was one of those plastic things, you know, with a figure that disappears when you turn upside down.
I know the kind you mean.
I noticed it because I thought it was kind of cute. Anyway, it was put out by a Venetian blind company. It had the name right on it.
Can you remember the name?
Let me see. Rogers. Rogers Blind Company.
All right, fine. Here's our card. If you remember anything else, we'd appreciate a call.
Sure thing. Say, you fellows going out to Rogers?
Yes, sir.
I kind of hate to ask.
Yes, sir.
You pick up one of those pens for me?
11:35 p.m. We called the office, and they told us that Iverson's car had been found abandoned up on Wonderland Drive in Laurel Canyon. It was taken to the police garage and impounded. The crime lab had gone over the car for fingerprints, and in eliminating the prints of the people known to have been in the car and friends of Iverson, they'd come up with one unidentified print. As remote as it was, the lead about the pen had to be checked out. We called the Rogers Blind Company, and the night watchman gave us the home phone number of the personnel manager. We called him, and he agreed to meet us at the plant. We gave him the description of the man who had talked to Iverson outside of the bar, and he was able to identify him as a Peter Standish, a former salesman with the company. He recognized Standish from the description of the scar, but he was unable to tell us the name of the other man. The personnel manager furnished us with Standish's last known address, but he'd moved and left no forwarding address. Frank and I went back to the office and ran the name through R&I. Standish had a record of 2 arrests on suspicion of 211 PC, one of them only a month before. Sergeants Hanson and Cummings drove out to the General Hospital to show a mugshot of Standish to Martin Weber. He positively identified the suspect as the man he'd seen talking to Iverson on the night of the murder. We checked with Dean Bergman and Leighton Prince. The fingerprint found in the car matched perfectly with the prints of Standish. Frank and I drove out to the last address on the suspect's arrest report. The manager of the apartment told us that he'd gone out a few minutes before. She told us that there was another man living in the apartment with Standish, and the description she gave tallied closely with the one we had of the man seen with Standish in the bar the night of the murder. She informed us that he was registered under the name of Charles Teal. In the company of the manager, we made a search of the suspect's apartment, but we found nothing. We asked the manager not to give any indication that we were in the apartment, and she agreed to cooperate. We settled down to wait. An hour went by, an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yes. Well, I'm getting tired of it, Teal. Every night the same thing, dragging you out of some crummy bar. You don't knock it off, I'm going to get myself another boy. Not only that, but I'm getting sick
All right,
of...
let's hold it right there.
Cops, lousy, quiet, Frank.
All right, hold it, mister. Hold still.
Fuzz, crummy fuzz. I had to walk right into it.
How's the other one, Frank?
He's out.
Want to shake him down?
Yeah. What do you want with me, cop? I done nothing. You got nothing to hold me for?
He's clean, Joe. So's the other one.
We got plenty, Standish. Let's go.
What? What you got on me?
Murder, mister.
Murder me? You're crazy. You're off your rocker.
Yeah, sure. All right, Frank.
I'm getting him up.
Come on, boy. I told you, Standish. I told you to get him.
Shut up, gentlemen.
All right, let's hold it right there, mister. Don't make any more problems.
It was him. He did it. I didn't want to. It was his idea. I'll tell you all about it.
Should have known not to trust you, Teal. Look what you got me into.
We only wanted his money. He wouldn't give it to us. Standish kept trying to hit him with that piece of cement. I tried to make him stop.
You try to stop me splitting the dough. You got more than half.
Don't worry about it.
What do you mean?
We'll split this one even.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 4th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 86, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, as we told you earlier, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. That same Fatima quality is the reason why king-size Fatima continues to grow in popularity among smokers everywhere. Try them and see if you don't agree with me. That Fatima gives you an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Next time you buy cigarettes, look for the bright sunny yellow pack and ask for king-size Fatima.
Peter James Standish and Charles Edward Teal were tried and convicted of robbery and murder in the first degree. They were sentenced to life imprisonment. They're now serving their term in the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ken Patterson, Gwen Delano, Jack Crucian. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. Friday, hear the Mario Lanza Show over NBC.
There's a lot of guys in L.A. who wear black suits. Ushers, waiters, floor walkers, and the crew down at the coroner's office. Petticini wore a black suit, but he didn't do any of those things. He had a different angle. I found that out the first time I saw him. A big guy with a lot of black hair and a pair of hands he could have rented out to a shovel company. It all started last Thursday in a one-arm joint on 6th Street. I was working on a cup of coffee that would have been Exhibit A for the Restaurant Commission when the skinny guy who runs the place got ambitious.
Hey, bud. I'm going to go get your coffee at Backlaw, maybe, huh?
I'll chew on the coffee a while.
I made it myself. I got a special recipe. It's a secret.
Save it for the next war. We'll need some weapons.
Oh. Try to please the public, and what do you get? Nothing but talk. Everybody got to have an answer. I'm going to be a big man in this business someday, and I'm
Sure. Your phone's ringing. Maybe it's J.P. Morgan.
Oh, your wife's got you something, huh?
So it's only a girl.
I ain't got one. A girl ties you down, you can't get nowhere. It's a bad business. Hello, you Backlaw Coffee Shop, you who? I'll ask him. Hey, Bud, is your name Regan?
Who wants to know?
A guy named Lyon.
Hang up on him.
Bad business, hanging up on people. Here.
Okay. Yeah?
Oh, Jeffrey, I'm glad I finally located you. I know this is your day off.
I'm busy. So long.
Now, wait. Don't hang up. I wouldn't think of interfering with anything you have planned today. I just thought I might be able to help you relax, relieve the tension.
What's in it for you?
Oh, now, Jeffrey, I intend to watch the workouts at the Lacey Street Gym today, but I can't make it myself. Now, if you care to go, just use my name at the main gate. They'll let you right in.
Who's the client?
Client? Client? I didn't say anything about a client. Of course, if you want someone to talk to, someone who knows the ins and outs of the fine, manly sport of boxing, there's a chap named Petticini. Be sure to look him up. Give him my best regards. Old friend, roomed together in college.
What college?
What college? Well, at the moment it escapes me.
So did I. So long.
Now, wait. No, the truth is, Jeffrey, I don't really know this Petticini guy at all. He retained us. But I thought you could enjoy yourself at the gym. Meet Petticini, talk to him, find out what he wants. Then the first thing tomorrow, you can start right in, showing the kind of service International gets.
That's bad business, you're hanging up on people.
Oh, shut up.
Every time I get hot into the collar, I always sit down and drink myself a cup of coffee. You want some?
I'm not that hot.
Oh. Is that going to be for you, that him calling back, huh?
Try hello. You'll pick it up from there.
Hey, where you going? What'll I say to him?
Try hello. You'll pick it up from there.
That's what you just said.
Yeah. I had my choice of talking to the Lion again or going straight out to the Lacey Street Gym and talking to a guy named Petticini. I already knew what the Lion had to say. So I drove out Sunset past Alvarado, found it in the middle of the block. Big pile of cement that might have been a soundstage once. I drifted through the gate and started up the ramp. That's when the little guy wearing a hat he could have used for a snoot stuck out a hand.
Price of 50 cents. 50 cents to what?
I worked for Anthony J. Lyon. He said to use his name.
All right, you used it. 4 bits.
You always this nice?
I won first prize this week.
You must have cheated.
Look, the name's Joey Arch. Used to fight bantamweight. Now, you tempting me, and it'll be an assault with a deadly weapon if I hit you.
I'll wire for help.
Oh, cut it out. All the time answers.
Look, I came here to see a guy named Petticini.
And Joey's making it tough for you, is that it?
Huh?
My name's Petticini. You looking for me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Lion sent me.
You be Regan? Joey apologized, don't you, Joey?
Yeah, but this guy... Oh. Okay, Regan. I think I'm still fighting sometimes.
Thanks for coming. Look, I've been working out with the boys. I want to get out of these clothes and catch a shower. My office is upstairs. I'll be right up. Make yourself at home.
It wasn't much of an office. A couple of rooms with a connecting wastebasket. Figured Petticini wasn't going to retire from what he made out of the boxing business. I was just finishing my cigarette when he walked in. This time, he wasn't wearing the sweatsuit. He was wearing a black one. But he skipped the white carnation. I didn't figure to do much for that white collar he was wearing backwards. Father Petticini?
Yes, that's right.
I didn't know you were a priest down there.
Well, you can't punch a bag wearing a cassock. You're surprised, aren't you? I'm 38 years old, Regan, and I get surprised every day.
There's no other Petticini around here.
No, I'm the one you're supposed to see.
Well, maybe the Lion didn't know you were a priest either.
Well, come to think of it, I may not have mentioned it when I phoned him.
I thought so. Well, Father, we'd be glad to help, but I'm not sure you have anything to be in our line.
This is in your line.
Oh? All right, Father, what can I do for you?
Find Davy Lang. Do you know him?
Middleweight?
Mm-hmm.
One who topped Al Shummer 2 nights ago.
That's him.
Gee, a guy like Davy'd be hard to lose.
Not so very. You know anything about him?
Well, I've seen him fight. He's a comer. Turned pro a couple of years ago, that's all.
I'll tell you the rest. He's got a good right hand, and he keeps in training. He's one of my boys, Regan, and I want him back.
Well, a guy like Davy can take care of himself.
Nobody can take care of himself. Davy's on parole, Regan. He made a mistake once.
And you don't want him to make another one.
He's due to report at the parole office before Saturday.
Well, what's he waiting for, an engraved invitation?
I don't know, Regan. I haven't talked to him lately.
Oh, he's disappeared.
Yeah.
They gave him a rule book when they let him loose. He knows what he's doing.
And you and I both know what it means if he antagonizes those people. It'd be rotten if they sent him back up. Rotten.
You can only do one job, Father.
I'll do a dozen if I have to. That's why I wear this collar. Have you got a light?
Yeah.
Thanks. You know, I was raised on this street, Regan. I've known a lot of guys like Davy Lang, kids who make little mistakes that turn into big mistakes.
You figure Davy Lang hasn't made that big one yet?
I figure David Lang isn't going to make that big one. That's why I sent for you, Regan. Here's a check. If it takes more, I'll get it.
No, thanks.
You won't help me?
Well, I didn't say that. When did he turn up missing, Father?
Right after his bout last Tuesday night. I'm his manager and trainer till he gets going. He dropped Al Shummer in the fourth. 10 minutes later, I went to his dressing room, and he was gone. I haven't seen him since.
Anybody else see him? Doorman, cab driver?
No. I thought he'd call me, but he hasn't. I've been over to his place 3 times, no answer.
What do his people say?
His parents dead. He lives alone at this address. Here. You've seen him in the ring. You know what he looks like.
Yeah. Does he have a girl?
I don't know.
Anything else that'd help?
Yes. Davy's a good boy.
I told you I'll do the job, Father.
You'll do it better if you believe in him.
Suppose it turned out different.
Suppose I tell you about a middleweight named Ignatius Loyola.
Look, nobody's going to put Davy's picture on a church window.
You don't have to be a saint to make the finals.
Even the Bible says sin's here to stay.
And that's why people like me will always have a job to do.
All right, Father. I'll let you know when I have something.
Thanks, Regan. Oh, Regan.
Yeah?
You didn't ask me why I didn't call in the police.
I didn't have to. Davy's not in violation until Saturday.
Crosby did it. I don't know why I couldn't. This is the old.
I left him standing there blowing smoke rings. A kind of smile came on his face, like maybe he just got some inside dope and something real big. But I didn't feel like smiling. I climbed in my car and drove down to Missing Persons Bureau. They hadn't picked up anybody who looked like Davy Lang. Then I went through the dead and unclaimed records over at the city morgue. Nothing there. Lincoln Heights and City Jail, all the hospitals turned up the same. Nothing. It was after 7 when I got to the address Father Petticini had given me. A red brick apartment house in South Marathon. Davy's place was on the 2nd floor. I pulled out a ring of skeletons and won my letter on the 3rd key. I didn't expect to find anything. I was wrong. A blue suit with a scar across his face was standing in the middle of the room. It was dark in there, but I could still see that .45. Then I began to feel nervous, like a hula dancer in a forest fire.
All right, Nosy, close the door. Walk over to that wall. That's right. Okay. Now, tell me you're the landlord. Milkman? Friend of Davy's? That way, huh? Well,
Listen, Bus.
Don't you guys ever learn?
My knees folded like an army trot. I began to see pinwheels all over the place. He knelt down beside me and went through my pockets. I heard him grunt when he found my gun. Then he lit a match to read my billfold. He didn't like what he found there either.
Your name is Regan, and you're gum healing for Davy Lang. Who sent you?
Oh.
I ask you one question. Who sent you, Regan? Was it Mel Lawrence? Did she hire you? No. She'd have more brains than that. Ah, that priest, wasn't it? Davy ain't got no family. It was the sky pilot who hired you, wasn't it? Petticini. Yeah. Petticini. Why didn't I think of that, huh? Petticini.
It was a good show, but I didn't catch the last act. I did remember the advance publicity. Any kind of preview would tell you Davy Lang hadn't just run out on a priest and parole board. There was a lot more I had to find out, and it figured Father Petticini wasn't going to like the way it wound up. It was an ice age later. I rolled over and found out I had some legs. Then I found a bottle of scotch on top of the stove, and that helped a lot. I tugged on it while I went around the place. There were 3 suits and an empty suitcase in the closet, and some shirts and things in one of the drawers. Wherever Davy'd gone, he was traveling light. I was trying to fit in the guy with the scar when I remembered him talking about a girl named Mel Lawrence. I polished off the scotch and tried the telephone book. I was lucky. It said Mel Lawrence lived over on Melrose. I was still rocking on my heels when I rang her bell.
Bell?
When I saw that blonde hair, I began to feel better. She stood there and looked at me a while like I was breathing some air I shouldn't. And she turned halfway around and gave me a profile.
I wasn't expecting company, or I'd change clothes.
You got something better in there?
Do you like the way I wear my hair?
Fits your face.
How about my face? Do you like it?
It's nice.
I'm looking for a new boyfriend. Mine ran out on me. Come on in. I keep my scotch over there and my bourbon over there. I'm a model. I work 3 or 4 days a week, and the rest of the time, I don't have anything to do.
Well, if things are that good, why'd your boyfriend leave?
You tell me.
Maybe I can help.
Sure you can. Just put your arms around me and kiss me.
My name's not Davy.
Shut up and kiss me.
Well, that wasn't the trouble.
Now, tell me I'm pretty.
You're pretty.
Tell me you like me a lot.
I like you a lot.
Tell me you like to kiss me. Tell me that Davy used to tell me. Tell me all that, and then tell me why he didn't pick me up. Why'd he clear out? Where's he gone?
Sit down.
What's the matter with me? What have I got that other girls haven't got?
I said sit down.
You hit me.
It's time to talk sense.
Who are you anyway?
My name's Regan. I'm looking for Davy Lang.
What do you want with him?
Father Petticini hired me to find him.
Father Petticini. He wants to make sure Davy keeps his nose clean.
He didn't mention your name.
I never met him. Davy's told me a lot about him. Only Davy isn't around anymore to tell me about him now. Davy ran out on him. He ran out on me.
Maybe he didn't.
Oh, yes, he did. When Davy goes someplace, he just goes. That's all. You aren't going to find him.
A blue suit with a .45 and a scar said different.
I met him
I
tonight.
met him tonight over at Davy's place. You know Davy's playmates. Who is he?
I don't know a man with a scar.
Who is he?
I don't know.
You aren't helping Davy.
I'm not Petticini. I couldn't help anyone. Go on, Regan. Get out of here. Get out of here. I don't feel very good. I don't feel very good at all.
Well, I knew she had some more to say, but I knew she wasn't going to say it then. So I left her sitting there and got in my car and drove home. I wanted to think. I wanted to get one good reason that said Davy Lang wasn't playing on the wrong team. When the lion's around, you don't do any thinking. The lion was around.
Jeffrey, I'm glad you got home. I wanted to talk to you about Petticini. He's a police, isn't he?
Yeah, why?
Run any expenses yet?
No.
Good, then we'll drop it. I'll phone him first thing in the morning, recommend another agency. I've been thinking...
You've been thinking wrong. We're staying with this one.
Now, see here. I'm the president of International Detective Bureau, and I can't collect a bonus from a member of the clergy. It wouldn't seem right.
You better not try.
Oh, I wouldn't. Those men take the vow of poverty. But we haven't taken any vow of poverty, and the agency has expenses.
Now, get this. We're hired to find Davy Lang, and we're going to find him.
Why? Why should we?
Because everything doesn't add up to a dollar sign.
No? What doesn't?
A priest named Petticini. A guy named Davy Lang who's got a date with a parole.
Now, wait a minute, Regan, wait. You've been touched by this thing.
Get out of here.
There's something in all this has got to you. The humanity of the thing. Oh, I can see it now, Regan. Your picture on the front page. Me standing beside you. Brotherhood.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, don't shout. The agency held up to public acclaim. Perhaps the paper starts a fund to repay us for our humble efforts.
Out.
Jeffrey, I haven't finished. You can't shove me out the door that way. Jeffrey, let me in. What's the meaning of this?
But I didn't tell him. I was thinking of Davy Lang in a blue suit with a scar, and Father Petticini in a blonde who had a lot of tears. It was all out of focus, like a 10-cent movie. Blue suit sounded like he knew Davy, but I didn't like the way he'd said it. I was trying to figure why Davy'd run, and that's when I got on the phone and checked a bookmaker I know on Main Street.
Hiya, baby. What's up?
Davy Lang. Al Shummer bout last Tuesday.
Lang bounced him in the fourth.
Well, how did it figure before the fight?
Oh, let's see. Lang was favored. Plenty of 8 to 5 around town.
More than usual?
Yeah. It's a real coarse coin on that one. Anything wrong, baby?
Yeah.
What?
It came out right.
Huh? Hey, I don't get it.
Neither do I. No, I won't throw that one away. But an hour later, it started to work through. Figured that Al Shummer, the other fighter, might be able to fill in some bald spots. I got his address from the Times sports desk and went down to his hotel, place on Soda Street. But Al Shummer was through answering questions. He was lying on the floor when I got there. A knife the size of a baseball bat was sticking out the front of him. And he had company. Father Petticini, picking up where that knife left off.
You'd better phone the police, Regan.
Who did it? When did it happen?
Regan, just call the police, that's all. All right, I'll do it.
But, Father...
I know enough law for this one, Regan. I'm suspect number 1.
This is CBS, and you are listening to the story of the Man in Black. Tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Now, here's a special word for those of you who are interested in setting up a retirement fund. One that will permit you to have some of the good things of life before you're too old to enjoy them. I'll give you her name later. Are you satisfied with what you've been able to save so far? It's not easy to save these days, but here's a way you can do it. Start now and save before you spend by putting your savings on an automatic basis. Join the payroll savings plan where you work and invest in United States savings bonds. Under this plan, your firm sets aside whatever sum you name from each paycheck and uses the money to buy savings bonds for you. And the bonds keep growing in value, paying you back $4 for every 3 you save in just 10 years. Buy United States bonds. An investment in bonds is an investment in the future of your country. Buy United States bonds and keep them. And now back to tonight's story of the Man in Black and Jeff Regan, Investigator. Had to do that.
When I walked in that hotel room and found Father Petticini standing over what was left of Al Shummer, it didn't take 20/20 vision to see Davy Lang was running hard. And Petticini was blocking for him. Well, I phoned homicide, and they showed up 10 minutes later. Sanducci was handling it. He changed 8 shades when he saw who he had to ask questions. But Sanducci's a cop. Took him 13 years to get that double-breasted suit. And he started in.
All right, all of you. Clear out, beat it. We'll dress it up later.
Well, Father, you know what I got to do?
We all have our jobs, Lieutenant.
I'm going to ask you first, Regan.
Well, I came over to see Al Shummer.
And he found me beside the body. I was administering extreme unction.
He was still alive?
I wasn't sure, in a case like
Yes,
that.
I know, Father. What business you got with Al Shummer?
He called me, asked me to come.
Why?
I don't know. I found him this way.
Regan, how about you?
I wanted to talk to him.
About what?
Fight?
A fight, huh? That's all there is to it. Tu sei un grande bugiardo.
I speak Italian, too. Se tu vuoi sapere qualunque, allora domanda da me.
Se tu domande, non sono esauriente.
Provatemi.
Padre, io ho una missione e lo devo fare. Regan, io ti domando un'altra volta. Look, once more, Regan. Tell me why you want to see Shummer.
Regan works for me. Ask me the question.
All right, I ask you.
Not here. Down at headquarters, Lieutenant.
Headquarters? You want me to arrest you?
Regan found me in a room with a murdered man. That's enough to take me down for.
But I... All right, Father. I take you into custody.
And Regan, you know what you have to do?
I know, Father.
Well, let's get busy.
Father?
Yes.
I've made 1,000 arrests in my day. I've taken them in for everything. You sure you want me to do this?
Like you said, we all have our jobs to do.
When he said that, he was looking right at me. And I began to get a helpless feeling, like a butterfly in a wind tunnel. Well, when we got downtown, Sanducci waved a hand at the prowl car and had the driver turn into the garage instead of going in the front way. Then he climbed out and talked to some uniform standing in the office. They came over and got Father Petticini. As soon as they were out of sight, Sanducci turned to me.
All my life I've been a cop, Regan. All the time I play it one way. I ask and they talk. If they don't, I lock them up till they do. Tonight I play it different.
You didn't ask any favors.
Those guys are taking him up to my office. No newspaper guys or anybody else is going to know he's in there.
Then what?
I won't ask him anything, and neither will anybody else around here. Right now.
What about tomorrow?
I'm off duty then. Before I leave, I have to ask him something.
He won't tell you.
This is homicide. Who's he covering for, Regan? He's counting on you to turn up something. You find what he wants, Regan. You find it fast and you find it alone. You got 3 hours to do whatever it is. And the morning squad comes in. They like reports, and you can't stop reports. Now, Regan.
Yeah?
No falla manganza.
What does that mean?
You better not make a mistake.
Sanducci was bending over backwards to give me time. 3 hours to find Davy Lang. That meant I had to forget the routine stuff and try other ways. I got to Melrose as fast as I could. It took her 5 minutes to answer the door. She didn't look happy.
What are you doing back here?
I forgot my homework.
Say, you can't.
I just did.
Why?
Now, look, lady, we can pass up the preliminaries, get to the main event.
You...
I want information. I want it fast. Where's Davy?
I don't know. I lost my head and told you too much when you were here before.
Where's Davy?
You're hurting my arm.
I'll break it if I have to. If you love him, tell me where he is.
I don't know. Really, I don't. It's just like I told you.
Come on.
All right. I was afraid.
Talk.
Davy told me he meant to throw that fight with Al Shummer Tuesday night. That he'd make a lot of money doing it. That we'd go away and get married, maybe. That's all I know.
That isn't enough. The odds were with Davy. He won.
Well, then ask Al Shummer what happened.
He's all used up. Somebody stuck a knife in him tonight.
What?
And homicide's holding the priest.
Father Petticini?
You know why?
I don't.
Because he thinks Davy Boy is still number one on the good parade. Now, you and I know different. Now, tell me the real setup.
I can't. I don't know.
Then I'll tell you. Davy was going to throw that fight. Then he found someone who'd pay him more to play it the other way. So we got together with Shummer. Shummer laid down on the fourth. Davy walked out on you and everybody.
Maybe he did. But he didn't kill Shummer.
I think he did. Shummer was going to talk.
Davy wouldn't kill a man. He's not bad.
I heard that before.
But he's not bad.
He didn't show up for you, did he?
No, but...
He double-crossed Petticini by fixing a fight. Then he doubled back, didn't throw the fight. He was probably trying to double on Shummer tonight when he stuffed that shiv in his ribs.
No, that's not Davy. Not Davy at all.
No, lady. No, that's not Davy. Of course not. Davy's a real good boy. Well, I thought I had most of it when I left there. It figured David got a bright idea somewhere along the line and bet on himself to win. That meant he had to make a deal with Al Shummer. Only Shummer wasn't around to talk about it anymore. I figured if I walked into the station and gave that much to Pediccini, he'd let Homicide handle it from there. But I was wrong.
Regan, did you find him?
No.
Something's happened to him.
He's blown town.
I can't believe that.
Father, he was fixing a fight right under your nose.
Davy?
He was going to take a dive, but he didn't.
And Shummer, was he in on it?
Well, they must have tussled over the payoff.
What else?
Well, he's rattled on everybody he knows, including his girlfriend.
We haven't heard Davy's story.
He couldn't write one good enough.
Isn't it that late?
Father, you can call in Sanducci right now. You can tell him what I've told you.
They send out a pickup on Davy.
You'll have to sooner or later.
And what about the parole board?
He's broken that. Shummer's dead.
We don't know if he did that.
Who else?
It doesn't fit Davy.
All the rest of it does.
That can be cleared up.
You take a lot of convincing.
You're a detective, Regan. You always come up with facts. All I've got is faith.
In him?
I can't believe he'd kill a man.
I'll get Sanducci.
All right, Regan. All right.
Hey, Sergeant, You want...
Through, Regan?
Yeah. Where's Sanducci?
In his office. I'll call him for you. Okay, mouthpiece. Right in there. Pardon me, please. Who the hell are these people?
Sure,
All right, I've stopped the watch. Where is... Come on. Jack, up on mic, boy.
Who's the dog? Page 28.
Bottom of 27.
I'm sorry. Who's the
Let's get on mic. We're recording.
Yeah.
Huh?
Come on, let's go. Bottom of 27. Pardon me, please. Sure, Sarge.
Yeah?
Never mind calling.
Suit yourself, Regan.
When did Father Pediccini send for a mouthpiece?
He didn't. The guy just showed up, said he was a lawyer, wanted to see him. Why? I don't know. All right to send him in, wasn't it?
I didn't answer that because the guy who'd passed me in the hall had his coat collar turned up. The glasses made it look good. But if he was a lawyer, he'd gone through law school in one day. I waited around outside. He wasn't in there long. 10 minutes later, he brushed out the door. I was waiting for him at the corner. Hello, Davy. How's murder these days? Easy, kid. This is a gun.
You're no cop.
I don't know what you told him in there, but I don't listen easy.
Oh. You must be Regan. You've been looking for me.
Yeah. You slip around fast.
That gun doesn't make you look that good.
I saw the guy with the shiv in him. You might have used the same line on him.
Father Pediccini told me how you figured it. I can't blame you. I know it must have looked that way.
You got something different?
I'll tell it to you. I don't expect you to believe it.
Did he believe it?
About me fixing up the fight? That's right. I was going to lay down for $2,000.
But you didn't. Who offered you $4?
I deserve that. But you got it wrong.
Tell me how.
I was up there in the ring sparring with him. It was one of those crazy things. I wanted to make it look good, and... well, Shummer's got a glass jaw. One connected, and he went down for the count.
Sounds like a fairy tale.
I told you it wouldn't be easy. I had to run after the fight. Denton doesn't like things not to work out. When Shummer went down, the guy who was paying me lost a pile of dough.
Wait a minute. The guy who was paying you...
Toby Denton.
A guy with a scar.
Yeah. He's after me.
Yeah. Yeah, he sure is.
What's the matter?
Well, my arithmetic's lousy. When I added this thing up, I put you in, but I left the scar out.
What's that mean?
It figured you killed Shummer to stop him from talking.
I didn't. I can't prove it, but I didn't.
Well, whoever did called the Padre to come over there. The guy who killed Shummer wanted the Padre taken in.
Why? Why would he want...
Because he knew hooking the Padre was a sure way to smoke you out of hiding. It was all a setup to get you.
Toby Denton.
Yeah. Toby Denton.
You figured it smart, people, but you got there too late.
What? It was Denton. He was still wearing the blue suit and the scar. But this time he had help, a muscle in a trench coat. They were both carrying heavy artillery.
Been waiting 10 minutes for you two to finish up. French?
Yeah?
We'll just have to take Regan along with us.
All right, straight ahead.
Wait a minute, Toby. Regan had nothing to do with this. I'm the guy you want.
Don't worry, we'll take good care of him. Me and Regan met once, didn't we, Peter? How do you feel, Regan?
Better than you will when they strap you down in that gas chamber, Tony. Toby.
You hear that, Trench?
Hey, come on, Toby, let's move.
We'll stay right here, Toby.
Move.
You know I can hardly handle myself. gun butt wouldn't get me to. You'll have to shoot. There's a cop station half a block away. Leave Regan, I'll go with you.
I always wanted to plug somebody right outside a cop station.
Kid was fast. He went after Toby with all he had. I got busy with the tall guy in the trench coat. He wasn't fast, but he was big, and it kept me busy. I landed a lucky kick that turned him green in a second, and after that it was easy. I turned around to give the kid a hand, but I was a second too late.
Regan!
Davey took them both in his chest. That's when Toby spun around and tried for me, but this time he was too late. Lie still, kid. I'll get a doctor.
Regan, I've done everything wrong. I didn't want him to get you, too.
Don't talk. You made up for it all.
I'm not bad. All the way?
No. Like the Padre always said. You're a good boy. Well, the ambulance got him to emergency hospital, and they went to work on him. I waited around with Father Petticini all night until a nurse walked out, said that they were going to have to give Davy some transfusions, but he'd live. Then I got over to headquarters and explained the whole thing to Sanducci. He said it didn't make sense, but when I got Father Petticini on the phone, they talked it over in Italian, and Sanducci seemed satisfied. So it was about 10 in the morning when I dropped in on the Lion on the way home. He was stretched out on a couch in his office. It was sagging in the middle. So was the Lion.
Oh, Jeffrey, don't disturb me. I'm ill, Jeffrey, ill.
Now what's the matter with you?
Oh, it's that man Petticini. He's a fiend, Jeffrey. Man's got an uncanny power. It isn't that.
Wait a minute. Where did you see Petticini?
At the hospital, of course. I checked with headquarters and found out what had happened, so I just thought I'd go over there.
You mean you took his money after all?
Took his money? Are you being funny? I walked in, the first thing I knew, he'd Sven-Gollied me into the operating room.
The operating room?
Yeah, I'm a type O, Jeffrey. Me, the same blood type as Davy Lang. And you think you made this thing turn out right. Well, what are you grinning about? I don't see anything funny.
You wouldn't. But cheer up, Fatso.
Why? Why should I?
The hospital pays $25 for a pint of blood. You may get something out of this yet.
CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to forgery detail. Several small neighborhood businessmen are being victimized by a check forger. His method of operation is an old one, but the merchants continue to be swindled. Your job, get him. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, July 22nd. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of forgery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way into work, and it was 7:50 a.m. when I got to room 29. Forgery detail.
Morning, Joe.
Frank, how's it going?
Well, what'd I tell you?
What do you mean?
Well, what'd I say just last night when we signed out?
I don't know. What did you say?
You remember.
Look, Frank, it's been a hot night. Looks like today's going to be hotter. No guessing games, huh?
Well, that's just it. It was hot, just like I told you last night.
Well, all right, you convinced me. I don't get it, but it's okay.
Joe, I told you yesterday. Must have said it 5 or 6 times at least. Earthquake weather. That was the last thing I said to you before we went home. Earthquake weather.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I guess you'll believe me now, huh? This is what they call earthquake weather.
Well, look, we're not going to go through all that again, are we?
Well, Joe, you felt it, didn't you?
Well, sure I felt it. Everybody did. That hasn't put any more foundation under that old wives' tale of yours.
You ought to believe it now if you never did before. I tell you, Joe, in this kind of hot and muggy weather, you get earthquakes.
All right, you win. What about last July? We didn't have any then, do we?
Well, not every year, no, but that doesn't change it. All earthquakes hit in this kind of weather, Joe.
Oh, yeah, sure they do. Now, you tell them that up at Berkeley, you're going to change the whole seismograph theory, Frank.
Well, they can't tell you when you're going to get one, only how bad it was after it hits. That's what we need up there, Joe, some kind of a gadget to tell us when.
Well, why worry? You can tell from the weather.
Excuse me, am I in the right place? Is there an Officer Smith around here?
Yes, sir, I'm Frank Smith. What can I do for you?
My name's Martin Miller. I run Marty's Mart at 6th and Benson.
Beg your pardon?
Marty's Mart, little grocery store at 6th Street on the corner of Benson.
Oh, yes, sir.
Mr. Alms from the bank sent me up to see you.
Yeah, sure. This is my partner, Sergeant Friday, Mr. Miller.
How are you, Mr.
Yeah,
Miller?
how you doing?
Alms over at the B of A called just before you got in, Joe. Said he was sending Mr. Miller over to see us.
Why don't you have a chair, Mr. Miller? Here.
Joe, Alms says that somebody's forging Mr. Miller's checks.
Your personal checks, sir?
No, sir, my business checks. Marty's Mart, 6th and Benson.
Let's see if we have this right, Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir.
According to Alms, there have been 7 checks passed. They were all passed last Saturday night. Is that correct?
That's what he told me, yes, sir. That's why I come down to see you, but that's not quite all.
How's that, sir?
Well, you see, as soon as I talked to the bank and I found out that somebody was forging my checks, I went home and told the wife about it.
Yes, sir.
Well, the bank tells me the man who's been doing the dirty work's a fellow by the name of Roger Theodore or something like that.
Yes, that's right. That's the way we have it here.
Oh, you know this man? You got him arrested already?
No, sir. I mean, that's what Mr. Alms over at the bank told us.
Oh, yeah, sure. I didn't think you boys would move that fast. That'd be pretty fast work there.
Now, you say there were 7 checks of yours that this Theodore's forged, is that right?
No, sir, that's all the bank knows about. The wife and I did a little detective work on our own.
Is that right?
You bet we did. Emma and me went through our checkbook, and guess what?
Yes, sir.
You say 7, me and Emma say 14.
Well, how do you mean, sir?
14, that's how it come for you.
Well, how do you mean 14?
Well, the bank's only found 7 of them, but he actually stole 14 of our business checks.
Well, you say you found that out after looking at your checkbook?
Yes, sir. Got the figures right here in my vest pocket. Let's see here. Numbers 7,020 to 7,033 inclusive. That makes 14 checks missing all told.
Well, how do you think the theft occurred, sir?
You stole them right out of the back part of the checkbook. Didn't think nobody'd find that out.
No, sir. What we mean is, how did the thief gain access to your checks? Do you leave them out in the open where people could get at them?
Well, they're in a plain black-covered book. Emma always makes out the checks most of the time. When she's through, she generally leaves them down underneath the counter in with a size 12 paper bags. That way we always know where to find it. You know, a place for everything so on.
Uh-huh. About when do you think the theft occurred, would you know?
Well, it'll be kind of hard to tell as to the exact time.
Well, when did you say you and your wife first noticed they were missing?
This morning, right after we talked to the bank man. That's when I got the idea to go through the checkbook. My wife didn't think so much of the idea, but she found out I was right.
Well, would you have any idea at all as to who might have taken the checks? Anyone suspicious loitering around your store or anything like that?
No, I don't believe so. Emma and I know most of the people around our neighborhood. But I wouldn't think any of those folks would do a thing like this.
Well, how about some transients? Somebody might have come in the store that you never saw before?
No, nobody I can recall.
You live in the back of the store, Mr. Miller?
Yeah, how'd you guess that? Say, you fellas are real good.
I was just wondering, sir, would it be possible somebody could have broken in during the night?
No, sir, not a chance. No, we could have told that.
Well, how about when you and your wife have lunch? Is it possible that you might leave the store unattended for short periods while both of you are in the back, maybe?
Say, that's right. You ever run a store?
No, sir.
Hey, George, that just could have happened, all right. Me and Emma lots of times duck in the back and sit down and grab a bite of lunch or a little cut of Tillamook cheese on a cracker, you know.
Yes, sir.
Hey, George, I'll bet that's what it could have happened, all right.
Do you figure the checks were taken in the last month, or about when, would you say?
Well, let's see. Must have been sometime during the last couple of weeks, if memory serves. That's about when we received our new checkbooks. Last couple of weeks. That must be it.
I see. Well, we want you to give the stenographer a full report of this, sir.
Here, Frank, I got the approval slip all made out. Now, if you'll be kind enough to take this slip down to room 23, the stenographer will take your report.
Oh, thank you very much.
We appreciate you coming in, Mr. Miller. We'll keep you informed of the developments of the case. Here's our card. If you hear anything, appreciate you giving us a call.
Well, fine. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
You say you'll keep me informed of what happens on this thing?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Say, maybe you better talk to Emma when you call the store. That's my wife.
Well, yes, sir. Won't you be there?
Oh, I'll be there all right, but she'd like to have you call her.
Well, how's that, sir?
Well, it's about them other missing checks.
Yes.
I told you it was my idea.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was hers.
"9:30 a.m. Martin Miller went down the hall to make his report. Frank and I checked the name Roger Theodore through our files and also through R&I, but there was no record on him. 10:02 a.m. We checked with the head cashier at the bank where Miller had his checking account. The cashier was unable to let us see the forged checks, explaining that they'd been sent back to the people who had deposited them. However, he was able to give us a list of the firms that had taken in the bad checks. They were all large supermarkets in the central Hollywood area. He told us that the checks had varied in amount from $32.50 up to $78.97, and that each check was made out to a Roger G. Theodore, with the endorsement on the back of the check also by Theodore. 11:25 a.m. Frank and I drove out to a market at the corner of Franklin and Yucca. It was a big place with fruit stands along the front and large signs saying, "We never close."
What do you think we find, Manager?
Probably in the back there. These places, most of them work on one of the check stands, don't they?
Hey, Joe?
Yeah.
Look at those Concord grapes. You ever seen so big? Sweet, too, I bet.
Yeah.
You ever figure out some way to grow them without seeds? They got it made.
Yeah.
Seeds always get stuck in my teeth. That the manager back there unpacking those cans, see, with a badge?
Yeah, that's my thing. Pardon me, are you the manager here?
Yeah, something I can do for you?
Yes, sir, police officers. My partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
How do you do? My name's Giles, Mickey Giles.
We'd like to talk to you about that check you cashed for Roger Theodore.
Theodore?
Yes, sir. Now, according to the bank, you cashed a check last Saturday for $64.89 for a Roger Theodore. The check was drawn on the account of a Martin Miller.
Yeah, I remember now. You catch the bum? No, sir, not yet. We'd just like to ask you some questions. Sure. You don't mind if I go ahead with this stuff, do you? I got to get these cans stowed.
No, sir. Go ahead. Well, who cashed the check for you? Do you remember that?
Sure, I remember. Me. At least I okayed it. One of the cashiers called me over, said this guy wanted to cash a check, and would I okay it? I did. Can you describe the man? Sure can. When that check came back from the bank, I got to thinking about the crummy deal, remembered almost every word of the conversation. Of all the lousy snow jobs, that no-good bum really dished out a Lulu.
Yes, sir. How tall would you say the man was?
Maybe 5'10", 11, about 160 pounds. Said he worked for this grocery store, this Marty's... Marty Smart. Yeah, that's it. Said he worked down there. We talked about the grocery business. He told me how he wanted to start a place of his own. Tired of working for somebody else. Lousy trick.
Can you give us a further description of him?
Well, he was dark. Real dark. Black, wavy hair. His eyes were almost solid black. Nice-looking kid. How old did you say he was, sir? 30, 31. Hard to tell. He was the kind of a guy who don't show his age too much.
Do you remember what time he came into the store?
Yeah, it was right after I announced the sale of day-old bread on the PA. That'd make it about 8:30 or 8:40. I always try to make it then so we won't be stuck with a lot of bread the next day. You know, get it off the shelves. It's not really a day-old, but by the time these women get through squeezing it, it sure looks like it's been on the shelves a long time. Well, you're in the habit of cashing checks here often, sir? Well, we never cash personal checks. Get stuck too often. We will cash payroll checks if a guy's got identification.
Theodore have identification?
Sure, had his driver's license.
Do you have the check now, sir?
Yeah, it's in the back. You want to see it? Yes, sir. I'd like to if we can. Yeah, sure thing. Hold on a minute. I'll get it for you.
All right. Driver's license might lead to something, huh?
Yeah, doesn't figure it uses his real name, though. Here it is. You see right here in the corner, the driver's license number, W414626. What was that again? W414626. No, 26. All right, thank you.
May I see that, sir?
Yeah, here.
Thanks. There's an endorsement on the back.
Like I said, I hope you catch a crummy bum. The dirtiest trick ever played.
Yes.
Comes in here, buys a pound of weenies, 52 cents on special, and a kosher dill. Grand total, 61 cents. Lousy deal.
Yes, sir. I wonder if we could take this check with us. We'd like to have our handwriting man get a look at it.
Sure, anything to catch that no-good bum. Spends 61 cents and cons me into cashing his check for $64.89. It's not the weenies or the pickle that gripe me.
No, sir.
The thought of that guy spending $63 of my money someplace else.
Frank and I called the office and asked them to check with DMV for a make on the number of the driver's license that we'd found written on the check. 11:55 a.m., we began to canvass the other 6 stores where Theodore had passed bad checks. In each instance, the descriptions we were able to obtain varied little. All of the managers of the stores had described him as a dark man in his early 30s. In checking with the managers further, we found that all of the checks had been passed within a period of an hour and a half. From the addresses of the stores, we could almost trace the exact route the forger had taken in making his rounds. The victims all gave us the same story, that Theodore had made a small purchase, talked about the grocery business, and used his driver's license as identification to cash the check. 2:14 p.m., we checked back into the office. The teletype had come through from DMV up in Sacramento giving the particulars on the driver's license. The license was made out to a Roger George Theodore, 1082 Whitley Street, Hollywood. The description on the license, however, did not tally with the one that we'd gotten from the victims of the forgeries. We asked DMV to send a photostat of Theodore's license to us for handwriting comparison with the forged checks that we'd been able to collect. The stats office made a run for us on Theodore's M.O. The names that they gave us were checked out but led us nowhere. 4:47 p.m. Frank and I drove out to the address listed on Theodore's driver's license. It was a large brick apartment building with a white marble entrance. We didn't find the suspect's name in the mailboxes, so we rang the bell to the manager's apartment.
Yes.
Mrs. Rice?
That's right. Something I can do for you.
Police officers, ma'am. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
Police officers? Well, what's going on? Is something wrong?
No, Mrs. Rice. Just some routine questions about one of your tenants.
Oh. Well, in that case, come in.
Thank you very much.
If you're police officers, I suppose you have some sort of identification.
Yes, ma'am, we do. Here's my ID card. My name's Joe Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
I'm Violet Wright. Oh, but then you know that. Can't be too careful these days. Oh, what did you wanted to know about? I know almost all of my tenants here. They all know me, too. Call them by their first names, and they call me Violet. I don't like formality. I never could stand it. Oh, speaking of stand, move that sewing onto the floor and sit down, young man.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Well, this is about Roger Theodore, Mrs. Rice.
Roger? Oh, yes, well, what did you want to know about him? Him and his wife and me used to be great friends. Roger was a cartoonist, you know, worked for one of the studios in the valley. The pictures he used to draw, just beautiful. I have some of them if you'd like to see them.
No, ma'am, not right now. We'd just like to know if Mr. Theodore lives here.
No, his wife moved out about 6 months ago. I'd have to get the rent receipts to be sure, but I think it was about 6 months ago. Moved down to the beach. Took it pretty hard, you know.
Yeah.
He took it pretty hard. Mrs. Theodore was so sudden.
What's that, Mrs. Rice?
When Roger died 6 months ago.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
The apartment house manager, Mrs. Rice, went on to tell us that Roger Theodore had caught a bad cold and that it had developed into pneumonia. She told us that his death had been very sudden and that his passing had hit his wife very hard. We questioned her about the other tenants in the building who were friendly with the Theodores, but she was able to add little information to what we already had. The description she gave us of Theodore matched the one we'd gotten from DMV up in Sacramento, but bore little resemblance to the one we'd obtained from the supermarket managers. She gave us the address of Mrs. Theodore's beach house. 7:12 p.m., Frank and I drove up to the residence, a small white house built out over the sand. The paint was peeling off of the shutters, and a window box in front was full of dead geraniums. Mrs. Theodore was a tall woman in her late 20s. She asked us in, and we talked to her. She kept looking at the clock over the fireplace.
What time have you got, Sergeant?
7:18, Miss Theodore.
Seemed it was earlier than that. Now, what was it you were asking about Roger?
Well, we were wondering if you could tell us how his driver's license could have been used as identification by someone else, ma'am.
No, I haven't the slightest idea.
Do you have his private papers, Mrs. Theodore?
Yes, most of them. They're in a strong box at the bank in town.
Would his driver's license be among those papers, perhaps?
I don't remember. I think so, but I can't be sure. It seems to me that I put them in the box. Just a minute.
All right, fine.
Just happened to think it might be in here. I put some of his things in here. Papers I didn't think were too important.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's his draft card, club membership card, and his personal business card. See, he drew a caricature of himself. He was very clever about things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
to me that I've seen his license someplace. No, it's not here.
Well, where did Mr. Theodore keep the license, ma'am?
He used to keep it out in the glove compartment of the car. Of course, I knew I'd seen it just a few days ago. It's in the glove compartment. That's where it is.
I wonder if we might see it, ma'am.
Surely. What time have you got, Sergeant?
At 7:20?
Thank you. It's turning cold all of a sudden.
Yes, ma'am. Fog's coming in.
We usually have it this time of year. Days have been so nice. Warm. That's funny.
What's that, ma'am?
I was sure it was here. Saw it just the other day. Now it's gone. And the other things, too.
Gone, ma'am?
Yes, the driver's license and his Social Security card. They were both in a little celluloid folder. Kept them together in here. It's funny.
Was it possible that you might have taken them out of the car?
No, I have no reason to. I hardly ever use the glove compartment. No, I'm sure they were here.
Well, maybe you picked something else up and the license came with it?
Maybe. Look through my purses. I might have picked them up.
Okay, fine.
I'll warm up a little. I'll build a fire tonight. I understand where that license might have gone. Have to ask Lloyd.
Lloyd?
Yes, I met him a few weeks ago on the beach. He came down to swim. We got to be very good friends. Kind of half expecting him to call tonight, but he would have called before this if he's going to. I'll get my purse.
Fine, thank you.
I'm sure, though, it was in the glove compartment the last time I saw it. Lloyd might have seen it when he borrowed the car.
He borrowed your car?
Yeah, last week. He said he was having his overhauled. I wasn't using mine, so I told him to take it. Very nice. Are you sure your watch is right, Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am. What day was it Lloyd took your car?
Last Friday or Saturday, one or the other. Nope, it's not here. I just don't know where it could have gone.
What does this Lloyd look like, Mrs. Theodore?
Boy, he's a nice-looking boy. Dark hair, dark eyes. Nice-looking boy.
About how old is he, ma'am?
Well, I never asked. I'd guess 30, 31.
Lloyd. Well, what's his last name, ma'am?
Stratton. Lloyd Stratton. Why are you asking all these questions about him? Has he done something? Is that it?
Well, we don't know, ma'am. Do you know where he lives?
Someplace in Hollywood. I don't know the number. He hasn't got a phone. I called information once. They didn't have a listing.
When was the last time you saw him, ma'am?
Monday. He came down to take a swim, and we talked. He must be mistaken, officers. He couldn't do anything dishonest, I know. But the last time he was here, he was a little short of cash. I offered him $50 to tide him over. He didn't want to take it, but I insisted. I didn't have enough to do it.
What's that, ma'am?
He wanted me to cash his payroll check.
We questioned Mrs. Theodore further, but she couldn't add anything to what she'd already told us. She was unable to give us the names of any of Stratton's friends, his relatives, or tell us where he might be employed. 7:46 p.m. Frank and I drove back to the office. We ran the name and description of Lloyd Stratton through R&I. They came up with several possible suspects. In the process of elimination, we were left with one name, Lloyd Stimpson, who had as one of many aliases the name Lloyd Stratton. His description tallied closely with the ones we'd gotten from the victims of the forgeries. His record showed him to be a two-time loser on parole from San Quentin at the present time. He'd been convicted both times for forgery. In checking the suspect's handwriting card, Don Meyer was able to tell us that the writing on the checks and the exemplars of the suspects were the same. We obtained mugshots of the suspect and drove out to check them with the victims. 9:22 p.m. We got to the market at the corner of Franklin and Yucca Streets, the manager's office.
Mr. Giles? Yes? Oh, you're the officers who were here this morning. You caught the guy yet, the one who forged that check?
No, sir, not yet. We'd like you to look at some pictures, if you would.
Of the guy? You got pictures of him? Figures if you had pictures of him, you'd catch him.
Well, we think we know who he is, Mr. Giles, but we'd like you to check these pictures just to be sure.
Fine, glad to help. Gonna get that bum. Yes, sir. Here are the pictures, Mr. Giles. Good. Hey, sit down here and get this stuff off my desk.
All right, fine. Now, just look through some of them, sir, and see if the man is there, if you would.
Yeah. Spread them out here. All right, playing solitaire. Look at that one. Mean-looking fellow, real criminal type. No, that's not him. No. Wait a minute.
Yes, sir?
This one. Right here. He's the guy. He's the one who cashed the check.
You sure, Mr. Giles?
I'm positive. That's him.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
It's all right, officers. Glad to help. This fella, Theodore.
Well, his real name's Stimpson, Lloyd Stimpson.
Yeah, well, this Stimpson, he done this sort of thing before?
Sir?
Forged checks.
Well, yes, sir. He's been convicted twice.
How about that? Lousy thing. I wonder what he tells his friends when they ask.
What's that?
About his work. Probably tells them he writes for a living.
We checked with the other victims of the forgeries. We were able to get 3 more identifications of the suspect. The rest of the people involved couldn't be reached at the time. We contacted the suspect's parole officer, and he gave us his last known address, and he said that he'd give us whatever assistance he could in apprehending Stimson, alias Stratton. In checking the address furnished by the parole officer, we found that the suspect had moved a week before and left no forwarding address. A local and an all-points bulletin was gotten out on Stratton. There were still 7 checks to be accounted for, and none of these had been reported to us as having been forged and passed. In addition to the local and the APB, we got out a special circular giving the description of the suspect, his picture, and a sample of the forged check. It was distributed to all supermarkets and check-cashing agencies in the area. We requested that if the suspect attempted to cash one of the checks, forgery detail be notified at once, and, if possible, that he be delayed until we could pick him up. Since none of the checks had been reported since the previous Saturday night, it looked like the suspect might be waiting until the coming weekend to get rid of the other checks he had in his possession. During the following 3 days, we ran down several leads on the suspect, but none of them panned out. Saturday, July 26, 8:40 p.m. I got back to the office after seeing the one remaining victim.
That you, Joe?
Yeah. I just checked that place out on Melrose.
They're making?
Yeah. Said Stratton was the guy that hung the paper on them last week.
Well, that's it then. All 7 of them check out.
Yeah. All the managers said they were positive. None of them had any doubt. Oh, it's hot out.
Yeah, hot and muggy.
Let's not go into that again, huh? Any word?
No, Joe. Everything's quiet.
If we figured it right, Stratton should make a try tonight, huh?
Figures he will, but I don't know, Joe.
Yeah?
Maybe he's figured the deal. Maybe he'd plan to hit them all one weekend, then leave town.
It's possible. But he got away with it once. Chances are he'll try it again. I'll get it. Forgery, Friday. Yes, sir? Where? Yes, sir. What was that address again? Yes, sir. We'll be right out. All right, let's hustle it. Mark it out on Primrose. Stratton? Yeah, he's there now. The call had come from a large supermarket in the Hollywood area. From what the clerk had said on the phone, Stratton had made several purchases and then tried to cash a payroll check drawn on Marty's Mart. The clerk had recognized him immediately and called us. When we walked into the market, one of the clerks motioned to us from a front counter.
Over there, Joe.
Yeah, there's no one at the stand.
Maybe he wouldn't wait.
You the cops? I made the call.
Yes, sir. We're police officers. Where is he?
Back there by counter 25. And I told him it'd be a few minutes before I could get the check okay. He said he'd look around. Maybe find something else he wanted.
Do you have the check?
Yes, sir, right here. You can see it's the same kind as the one on the circuit.
Yes, okay, sir. Thank you.
There won't be any trouble with him. Getting him out of here.
Well, that depends on him.
I'll go around the counter, come up from the back.
All right. Mr. Theodore? You Roger Theodore?
Yes, you the manager here? I don't see what the problem is. It's a payroll check. If you don't want the business, there are other stores I can go to.
No, police officer, Mr. Stratton. I want to talk to you.
Certainly, but there's some mistake. My name's not Stratton, it's Roger Theodore.
No mistake, mister. Let's go.
No!
Watch it, Joe! All right, hold it up, Stratton. Watch that cart, Joe!
Outside.
Get in the car, Joe. All right, hold it up, Stratton. Stay where you are.
Don't shoot. Don't shoot. I won't try anything. Don't shoot.
All right, out of the car, mister.
I'll shake him. What's this all about? What are you trying to prove? He's clean, Joe. Hands behind your back.
Want to check the car, Frank?
Yeah. You won't find anything. There's nothing to find. A few groceries, that's all. Must be some kind of mistake.
No, I don't think so, Stratton. Frank, what do you got?
Looks clean, Joe. Just checking the seat covers. You sure you got the right guy? You keep calling me Stratton. I told you my name's Theodore. Look, get my driver's license out of my pocket. It'll tell you who I am.
All right, let's come off it. We know who you are. We got your record and a dozen people to identify you.
Joe?
Yeah.
Found these under the seat covers in the back. Checks from Marty's Mart. So what? No law against having a few blank checks, is there?
Only when you try to cash them.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 21st, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere. In Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness and a really different flavor and aroma. That's right. Fatimas are distinctive. In king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack.
Lloyd Harold Stimson, alias Lloyd Stratton, was tried and convicted of 7 counts of forgery. He is now serving his term in the state penitentiary. Forgery is punishable by imprisonment for a period of not less than 1, nor more than 14 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, lightning starts a few forest fires every year. But careless people cause many, many more. This shameful waste of one of our greatest natural resources weakens America. This holiday weekend, if you picnic or camp out, please be careful with fire. Be very sure your campfire is really out before you leave it. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, Cliff Arquette, Virginia Gregg. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King-size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Friday, hear the Mario Lanza Show over NBC.
Novak. For hire.
Sure. I'm Pat Novak. For hire. That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak for hire. It's easy to rent yourself out and you make a few bucks, but sooner or later you get burned. It doesn't make any difference whether you're a man or a mouse. Because down on the waterfront in San Francisco, they build the traps both ways. Oh, everything looks easy, but sometimes they fool you, like putting shatterproof glass in a fire alarm box. And you gotta watch out every minute. Because down here, if you reach out to help a panhandler, the guy will take your arm and hand you back the dime. I rent boats and deal any place. I'll give you a good trade-in on a second-hand soul. Works out all right. Sometimes you're on top of the heap, if you like the kind of heaps they got down here. But you got to get your laughs in a hurry, because you find out right away you're not going to make any more headway than a hummingbird in a wind tunnel. I found that out Wednesday afternoon. Must have been about 3 o'clock. The sun was out down at the far end of the bay. It put a head on the clouds down there and put the rest of the sky in a good mood. Over across the bay, it was a warm, easy yellow that made you think of a pound cake full of eggs. It was too nice a day to work inside, so I closed shop and started down to a pool hall on Market Street. I never got there, because on the way I stopped by the laundry to pick up a couple of shirts. It started right there, when the clerk walked over to me. He was full of fizz and the sort of guy who gets a bottle of hand lotion for his birthday.
Well, Mr. Novak, is it?
I don't know, is it?
Yes. My, we have a nice day, haven't we?
Yeah, I want some laundry.
Not any better than yesterday, though. Not a bit better than yesterday.
What do you do? Give them all a rating? How about the laundry, huh?
Yes. Let's have the ticket.
All right.
Mm-hmm. 428. That should be right down here.
It's just a couple of shirts.
28. Yes, here it is. That'll be $1.84, please.
Well, it sounds like a fair price, but I'll take my own.
Oh?
This isn't mine. It's too big.
Are you sure?
Look, I had a couple of white shirts. Now, you better look again.
Well, the tickets match, you see. 428. You must be wrong, Mr. Novak.
Now, look, fella, shirts don't swell. They shrink. The package is too big.
Too big? Oh, well, we better open it. Yes. Well, see, I can wrap them again easily. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's
not my shade of pink.
Oh. I guess it's not yours.
Thanks.
Here's some men's clothing, too. How about these shirts?
If I were a jockey, I'd take them. I want my own.
Well, yes, of course you do. Oh, goodness, I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, you got a problem. How about these shirts, though?
Oh, we've mixed up the tickets, and someone has your package.
Who?
I don't know. Maybe we can check on the collar markings. Let me see.
Yeah.
Yes, now, let me check in the book. Here we are. This laundry belongs to Earl Hayes.
Yeah, where's he live?
Are you going up there?
I want my shirts back.
Yes. He lives at 321 Dorset Place.
Yeah, give me that bundle.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Novak, and please apologize to Mr. Hayes. I'm so angry at myself, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, be careful you don't stop a hole in the floor. See you later. When I left, he was wringing his hands and shifting from one foot to another like a small kid in a department store. On the way up to Dorset Place, I looked at the bundle. There were a couple of women's blouses and 4 loud-colored shirts. 2 of them looked like a Navajo blanket somebody'd sewed buttons on. I tried to wrap up the bundle, and about 10 minutes later, I got to 321 Dorset Place. It was up on Telegraph Hill, and it was an old place somebody'd remodeled. It was supposed to be modernistic, but it reminded you of a chromium-plated tool shed. Apartment 2A was on the second landing. I went up there and knocked. Earl Hayes didn't answer the door, but you couldn't quarrel with what you got. She was in her 30s and pushing 40 hard enough to bruise it. But she looked good standing there in the doorway, long and lean enough to make a greyhound turn in his car. She was wearing green lounging pajamas, and you've seen bananas in looser skins. You could see the bay behind her through the window, and she stood there brushing back enough red hair to sell to a mattress factory. As she pushed the door back, she started to smile. Her lips were a pale red color and moist enough to put a desert on its feet, and you could tell she thought she used them to talk when you got tired of everything else. Standing there in front of her, you got the same feeling you would if somebody pressed the treble and bass key of an organ at the same time.
Hello. What are you selling?
Shirts. Is your husband home?
Should I have one?
I don't know. It depends on the climate.
Come on in anyway.
All right.
Who are you?
My name's Novak. I'm looking for a guy named Earl Hayes.
You better sit down.
It won't take me that long. He's got my shirts.
Mr. Novak, you don't look like the kind who'd lose a shirt.
I don't want jokes, lady. There was a mix-up down at the laundry. I got Hayes' stuff, and he walked off with mine.
That is stuff in the bundle?
Yes, it is.
All right, put it on the table here. We'll see. I don't think you're smart, Mr. Novak.
Huh?
Where's the other shirt?
You got them all right there.
There's one missing.
All right, see the laundry. All I want's a trade.
There must have been another shirt in this bundle.
Maybe it was too dirty. The boy couldn't clean it that fast. Now, look, friend, if you want to argue, go ride a streetcar. I came up for 2 white shirts. Now, where are they?
I suppose Earl Hayes has them.
Where's he?
I'll send you to him, but I'm afraid you won't like him.
Then I'll be lonely. Just tell me where he is.
2 floors up. That'll give you time to work over that story.
Yeah.
Because he'll know you're lying. He'll want to know about that shirt.
What makes it that important?
The fact that it's missing. I'll find him upstairs. I hope it works into a friendship.
Yeah.
But I don't think it will. He'll know you're lying, and you'll get tossed around like a green salad.
Is he tougher than you?
No, he's just not as versatile. Good luck, darling.
When she said good luck, you knew she was just being polite and didn't mean it any more than the hangman when he tells you to watch your step. When I left, she was over by the window, leaning back against the table, as shy as a runaway boxcar. And you got the idea she'd be fun to know if you had a lot of money and an oxygen tent. Well, I rolled up the bundle, and I started for the 4th floor. I knocked on the door, and when it opened, I knew I had high bid for trouble. I could see into the room, and there were 3 or 4 gonifs sitting inside. They had a dull, anxious look, as if they were trying to find another worm to pull apart. They were the sort of guys who might have been born, but you wouldn't want to bet on it. The one in the door was a big guy with bushy eyebrows that met near his nose, and the way they ran across his face, you got the idea he got tired of the old ones and grafted on a vine instead. His face wasn't much better. It looked more like a relief map than a face. It was pockmarked and the color of moldy bread, and you knew if a woman kissed him, she'd get blood poisoning.
Hello, Novak.
You Earl Hayes?
Enough to suit you. Come in.
You're good at guessing names.
So a little bird told me.
Yeah, I saw her. She's got nice feathers.
Where's the shirt?
Here's the bundle. Take your pick.
I don't like any of these, Novak.
That's all I got.
Where's the shirt, Novak?
Just wear a collar, mister. You don't need a shirt. Yeah, I won't need a memory for you, fella.
Suit yourself. Tell me about those shirts. Hello, Earl. Come on in. We got your boy.
Who is he?
You made a deal. You know his name.
I never saw him before, Max.
He looks different now. He came up with some of your shirts.
That's true. I went by the laundry. Said a guy named Novak picked up the shirts.
Except one of them's missing.
Couldn't be missing. They're all in one bundle.
Ask him then, but do it nice. He's touchy.
He doesn't have to ask. Now, look, mister, if you're Earl Hayes, I want my shirts.
Give us the other one, we'll make a trade.
You got the best deal you're going to make, Hayes. Now, I want those shirts.
Get yourself a loom, then. All right, Joe, get his on.
Let go.
Wait a minute, Max. Sit down, Hayes, or we'll take your ticket away. That's it. Now get his other arm. Over there. Why don't you keep your eye on Hayes? All right, Novak. It's you or Hayes. Make up your mind.
I got it made up about you.
You're gonna tire first, Novak. Where's that shirt?
I don't know. Try Hayes. He looks healthy.
Hold him up. He's slipping. You need handles? Hold him up. You're running out of chances, Novak. Where's that shirt?
I don't know.
Hold him up. Why? If you can't find the reason, don't. All right, Hayes. How's your temper?
I slid down to the floor so fast I almost went into the varnish, and I spent the next couple of hours checking on the termites. It was getting dark when I woke up, and right away the room was full of company. The host was Earl Hayes, and he was lying on the floor as dead as a cracked bell. He was over by the desk, lying on his back and grabbing at the rug like a Hoover vacuum. The hair was wet against his head, and the perspiration on his forehead started to break up and run down like tears, so you got the idea he cried out of his hairline instead of his eyes. He didn't seem pained or put out. He was smiling a little as if he realized he had a better deal. Over by the door, Hellman was talking to a couple of coppers. He sent them downstairs and walked over to me.
You woke the neighbors, Novak.
I don't snore that loud, Hellman.
You made the noise with Hayes?
Yeah. How'd I get my face this way?
You look better to me, Novak. How long you been here?
A couple hours.
That fits in. The coroner's already been here. He says Hayes was beat to death an hour ago with that poker out of the fireplace.
You better check on the prints.
I already sent it down. You slept too long.
Hello, Inspector. We came by for the death.
He's right there. Tell the morgue to keep him out till I get down.
Yes. Come on, Joe. That's it.
Grab him.
Sure is a little guy.
He'll bury easy. Tell him I'll check in at 8.
Sure will, Inspector.
All right, Novak, tell me all about it.
I came up here for a shirt.
That's not hard to get. What about Hayes? How'd the beef go?
It went both ways with a guy named Max. You better talk to him.
I like you better.
Oh, you're not bright, Hellman. I've been out of the game for 2 hours.
Look, big shot, don't push me around. You got a story. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. You could have taken Hayes and run into trouble yourself.
That's the hard way, Hellman. I don't like your whip. Get another boy.
You'll do, Novak, and you'll do it all downtown. Yeah, Hellman talking. What do you mean you can't send him up yet? Who's in charge down there? Give me the guy in charge. Huh? Well, 2 guys just came up here. You must have sent them. They were here. You must have sent them. Yeah. Well, you can send them for me.
Don't tell me, Hellman.
Oh, it couldn't happen.
No, it couldn't happen to anybody but you, Hellman. It's going to look real good, too, when they find out you let 2 strangers walk in and steal a body.
I don't understand it.
It's simple, Hellman. You better go in and rob that bed right now. Because when they're through kicking you around down at headquarters, you're going to need a sling. And with a figure like yours, it'll take a good-sized bed sheet. When Hellman hung up the phone, he turned the color of early summer squash. He stood over by the window, running his hand through his hair. He left the window and stood in the center of the room for a minute. His coat was open, and his stomach was piled up on his belt in nice, even layers. It reminded you of a rolled-up garden hose. And the way his pants fit him when he walked, you got the idea somebody'd sewed an anvil in the lining. After a while, he came over and started to talk to me. He kept pulling his ear, and in the dim light there, it looked like the cross-section of an eggplant.
I'm still going to hold you, Novak.
You'd look better with a hot potato, Hellman.
I'm going to hold you for 12 hours. In the meantime, that body will show up.
He didn't look that active to me. Wake up, Hellman. You've been backed into a corner. You better get a body first.
Look, Novak, I know the guy was dead. I'm not going to sit on my hands.
It's the most fun you'll ever have.
I'm going to check those prints, and I'm going to find out why you were up here.
I came to see Hayes. The laundry pulled a switch, and I came up for shirts. Checked with the guy at the laundry.
Yeah.
And on the way downstairs, stop at 2A.
Why?
There's a souped-up redhead down there. You can ask her a question.
You can do that with any woman.
You can ask her who Max is. I went there to find Earl Hayes. She answered and sent me here.
There's only one thing wrong with that story.
Huh?
There's no redhead in 2A. I checked all the apartments. 2A's been empty for 3 months. The people are out of town. I think you dreamed her.
I don't dream that good in the afternoon. Look, Hellman, I'm walking out of this place, and all you can do is hear the echo.
I want to see you go, Novak. Maybe you'll do something wrong, and I'll track you down.
You couldn't track down a live bear in a telephone booth.
I'll make a try on you, mister, and when I'm through, there'll be enough to put you right in that gas chamber.
They can save money and do the same thing.
Huh?
They can lock me up in the same closet with you. When I left, Hellman was wandering around like smoke in a drafty room. I picked up Earl Hayes' shirts and ducked by the laundry, but the clerk was gone and the place was closed tighter than the lid on a city scandal. Well, I tried to think back, but nothing made sense. In the first place, what made that shirt so important? And why did the laundry clerk have the wrong address for Earl Hayes? And the main hooker was that body disappearing. Why? If Max killed him, they were in the clear. Why take a gamble like that just for laughs? I knew I had to get some answers pretty soon because Hellman wasn't an easy guy. He was a tough, hard cop with a heart big enough to hide behind a piece of birdseed. Well, I had a couple of places to go, so I looked up Jocko Madigan. He's a good guy, and he used to be a smart one, except he didn't like the San Francisco fog and worked out one of his own. I finally found him in the hunt room at the Bellevue Hotel. The crowd was at one end, and he was down at the other. I found out why.
Make it one for my baby and one more for the road.
Now, wait a minute, Jocko.
Ah, Patsy, I'm singing a little sentimental ballad.
All right, Jocko, now you've had enough.
Patsy, I'm as sober as the next man. I've been drinking since 8 o'clock this afternoon, and I'm as sober as the next man.
Now, stop it, will you?
Patsy, you know I hate whiskey. But do you realize that 85% of the human body is liquid?
Yeah.
Now, is there any sane reason why all that should be water? Of course not. It isn't fair. That's why we have communists.
Jocko, I'm in trouble.
Of course you are. Knowing you, Patsy, is like walking hand in hand with a moral pygmy.
All right.
It's true, Patsy. You have no moral sense. All you have is a small bundle of regrets, something which you drag out periodically as proof of your decency.
Will you listen?
But you're not even decent enough to regret the things you've done. From some of your conversations about the only things you regret are the things you haven't done. The only reason you haven't caused more trouble is that you're not fleet-footed enough.
All right.
You're hopeless, Patsy. You're like some overripe planet, disemboweled and thrown from the skies. You don't know where you're going, and you can't remember where you've been. Your only joy is motion, and your only sensation are heat and cold.
You all through, Jocko?
Yes. What kind of trouble?
Hellman wants me for a dead guy.
Where is he?
He was up on Telegraph Hill, but he's gone now.
He didn't die long, did he?
Somebody took the body away.
That's a funny thing to collect.
Oh, none of the story lays right. The guy's name was Earl Hayes. There was a laundry mix-up, and I went up there to trade.
Yes?
Now, look, I want you to hop down and find out everything you can about Earl Hayes. Find out who his friends are. Find out where he's from. And see if there's a guy named Max anywhere, will you?
Where are you going?
I gotta find a girl.
I felt that way myself earlier tonight.
Will you hurry, Jocko? We don't have time to run your love life.
Yes, well, time is a minor drawback anyway. Good night, lover.
It was nearly 11 when I walked out of the bar, and the way things were going, I couldn't beat a vagrancy rap with a pocket full of annuities. I had to find that girl someplace, but it wasn't going to be easy. You might as well try to French fry a kettle of bones. I went back up to that apartment to see if she left a pointer anywhere. Hellman had a copper out in front, but he was sitting in somebody's new Nash reading a comic book. I went all through the apartment, and on the way out, I spotted the matches in the wastebasket. The folder had been used up, and on the outside it said Bonton Club, Duval Street, Key West, Florida. Well, that was the first break I got. Most people use their matches fast, so if she was using Key West matches, it must have meant something. I got onto a phone booth and started calling up the hotels. Finally, a hotel up on Taylor said they had a Miss Rhoda Warren on the register from Key West, Florida. For $5, a bellhop will tell you anything, so he said she was a redhead. I still didn't know, and when I went up there, she wasn't in. Well, I had to get back to my place for Jocko's call, and when I walked in, I got sorry about that $5.
Hello, Mr. Novak. You keep bad hours.
So do you, and your name's Rhoda Warren.
You like the name?
Yeah.
Go ahead and use it if it's phony.
How about Max?
I don't even know him.
When you called him today, it was a wrong number.
Oh, please, Mr. Novak. You're not big enough for menace.
No?
No, you're like everybody else on the waterfront. You got some muscles, a few stage whispers, and 30 cents in your pocket. So don't try to make a sale.
Except you'd like to buy that shirt.
If you want to sell it.
What makes it worth $1,000?
Your imagination. 500 will buy it.
You're bad on guesses. 500 and Max will do it.
Look, I don't have to deal with you, darling. You're a pauper on paper and in your pocket. So I can just sit tight while you sell or go broke.
Where's Max?
Sell him out. If I were in a hole, I'm not. You are.
All right.
Let go of my arm.
I need some help, lady.
I don't know whether you're making love or trouble. Either way, let go of my arm.
Have you figured out yet?
Please, you're hurting my arm.
Where's Max? Come on, I'll twist you until the skin comes loose. Where is he?
Please don't.
All right.
I'll make you friends anyway.
Yeah, Novak talking. Yeah, I've been out all evening. Whereabouts? Yeah, well, he can't use it anymore. Where are you, the Compton? Yeah, thanks.
The laundry clerk?
Yeah, he found that shirt.
Tell him not to lose his own. And wish him good luck.
Will he need it?
Well, maybe not. But he ought to take it while it's cheap.
I knew it wouldn't do any good to press her for Max now. If she was going to tip her mitts, she'd do it on her own. I left my place and grabbed a cab for the piers. I got out near Market and walked over to the laundry. The back window opened up like a hunk of sky after a bad rain. I found the shirt lying out on the table. It looked like the rest of Earl Hayes' shirts, except for one thing. The collar was full of writing, a few letters and a lot of numbers. I took them down, left the shirt, and headed for my place. I got one of those shirts from that bundle and copied in some of the same numbers. Then I picked up a cab for Rhoda Warren's hotel. For another fin, the bellhop went blind, and I got into her room about 12:30. Her room was empty, but her bags were packed on the bed. I took a 60-40 chance and planted the shirt in the bottom of one of the bags. I told the bellhop to tip me off when she came in, and I started back to my place to wait for Jocko's call. I did about as well as a bottle of scotch in a Louisville bar. A squad car picked me up at the corner and said Hellman had a call out for me. About 20 minutes later, we pulled up to Pier 19. Hellman was waiting there, moving around like a pea in a boiling stew.
Hello, Novak. Walk me down the pier.
Find a crutch. What's on your mind, Hellman?
Walk me down the pier.
All right, but I won't take your arm.
They found the body.
How, radar?
Almost. The Coast Guard boat spotted him floating in the bag. They radioed in. We're hauling him up now.
Yeah. We're all busy. I found a shirt, too.
Well, we may not need it. Those fingerprints worked out just right.
Well, if they're mine, it's too pat, Hellman. You're too smart a cop to buy that kind of flamp.
I'm a smart enough cop to hold you, now that we got Earl Hayes. Here we are. Yeah, got him down there?
Yeah, we're passing him up. Grab a hold of that.
Here, I'll get him.
All right, Paul.
Here he comes. There.
Well, that water sure changed him, Hellman.
There's a mistake. He read his identification. They said it was Earl Hayes.
Another plant, Hellman. He's the laundry clerk.
What was he doing out in the bay?
Maybe that's the way they do the laundry now. I'm going home, Hellman. You better stand on his chest.
Huh?
That way they can't steal him without taking you, too. Well, that 60-40 was beginning to pay off. Somebody was gathering up the loose ends, and it was going to be easier now because things were getting tight. But you can say that for a lot of wedding rings. So I bummed a ride, and I got to my place about a half hour later. I had some trouble there because the cop on duty wanted to take me down to Pier 19 again. He looked wistful, so I told him about a place down the street where he might catch a peeping Tom, and I finally got rid of him long enough to get up to the room. As I walked in the door, the phone was ringing. Yeah.
Hello, Patsy. This is Jocko.
What'd you find out?
Earl Hayes was popular. Anybody could have killed him.
For instance?
There's a lot on him in the Chronicle morgue. He's wanted for smuggling.
Yeah? What else?
He had a girlfriend. Her picture's here.
What'd she look like?
Oh, I haven't had enough experience.
It's the same one, I guess. What else?
And Earl Hayes once served a prison term with a man named Max Stoffer.
That's our boy. What do you got on him?
He lives here now, and he runs a business out on Van Ness Avenue.
What kind of business?
Oh, it's going to sound funny. He runs a funeral parlor.
Well, what does that prove?
It doesn't prove a thing. Just because you're a perfume salesman, you don't have to smell pretty.
When Jocko hung up, everything began to slip into place. I could see now why everybody wanted that shirt, and the reason why Earl Hayes disappeared was 10 feet tall. I called Hellman. He said he knew all about Max Stoffer, and we had a squad car on the way out. I met him at the corner of Geary and Taylor, and we rode out to Van Ness. Max Stoffer's funeral parlor was over near Pine. When we pulled up, the lights were out except for a lamp in the front room. Hellman walked in the front door without knocking, and we turned in where the light was. It was a big night for stiffs, and there were 3 or 4 caskets along the wall. In the center, over near the fireplace, there was a casket on wheels. The plate on the outside said a man named Peter Dawson had the lease. Hellman was about to start upstairs when a door in the back opened.
Hello, Novak. What are you doing here? Is the man with you dead?
Not too dead to talk to you, Stoffer. He's Inspector Hellman from Homicide. The bag looks heavy.
Is he talking to you or me, Max?
Where's she going?
I'm putting her on a train, Novak. Do you care?
It's up to Hellman. He wants you for killing Earl Hayes.
I thought he disappeared. I'll add on the laundry clerk, too, after I visit the train.
You put her on that train, she'll get off at the next station, Stoffer.
Huh?
She gave you a bad story. That shirt you got's a phony.
Wait a minute.
Save yourself some time, mister. Check her bag.
Oh, he's crazy, Max.
Make the odds, fella.
Let me see that bag.
Take a look. He's trying to stampede you, Max.
Give it here.
No, underneath there. The other side.
There's no shirt in here. What are you trying?
I don't know how it got there, Max. He must have put it there honest. I don't know how it got there. Something crazy's happened.
You don't sound sure.
Please, Max. Please, Max, stay away. I gave you the right shirt. Max, leave me alone.
Take it, copper. Take her for the laundry guy. I'll read about you, lady.
Max, you're crazy. You're crazy to tell him.
I'll tell him all about it. I'll tell you every word.
All right, don't forget yourself, big shot. Don't forget to tell him what you did with Earl Hayes.
There's nobody.
Oh, you silly fool. You silly fool. Don't you know why they're here?
Shut up.
You'll open them all. You better tell him now. He's in there, Hellman. He's in there with Peter Dawson.
You had a chance, baby.
Leave me alone, Max. Leave me alone or I'll break you up. Can't win them all, Max.
Put away that gun. Hey, get away from her. You don't need the gun anymore.
No. Pick it up, copper.
Well, you had a big night, lady.
Yeah. What happened, Novak? You put that shirt in there and you lied to him.
Yeah.
You lied to him and he thought I did. He thought I lied to him.
What's the difference? As long as you killed him, you still get a prize. The next morning was easy for Hellman. He shook the girl for the story on those shirts. The markings on the collar were bill of lading numbers on stuff going to the islands. Everybody was being watched, so they had to handle it that way. Earl Hayes used to leave the shirts in that laundry, and each time somebody along the line marked one of the shirts. Hayes took the shirts to Max, and he got the information to the right people in the islands. Out there, they had a line on what to hijack. Most of the stuff was gold, and it was a good game for everybody, until that laundry clerk made a goofy mistake. He got the bundles mixed, and he left one shirt out. When Hayes picked up the wrong bundle, the girl and Max thought a double cross was underway. After Max worked me over and killed Hayes, he went down to the laundry shop, and he couldn't find the shirt. He could only think of one thing. Hayes had the shirt on. So he got him out of that apartment. Once he had him out, he figured the easy thing to do was to make him disappear for good. So he put him in a casket with another guy on his way to the boneyard. In the meantime, the clerk found the shirt and called me. The girl overheard the conversation and figured the laundry clerk had the shirt with him. She got in a beef and killed him. She went down to that laundry after me and picked up the shirt. Well, from there on, the cards fell the wrong way. Well, Hellman asked only one question. That laundry clerk was an innocent guy. Wasn't it too bad he got knocked off? Oh, I don't know.
When you think of how many buttons you lose in a year, it doesn't seem so bad.
Pat Novak for Hire was previously released by ABC, the American Broadcasting Company, for listeners in the United States and rebroadcast for our men and women overseas. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and...
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A young man walks into your office and tells you that his best friend has been killed by unknown assailants. Your job? Investigate. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, August 9th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Warman. My name's Friday. It was 7:58 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. That you, Frank?
Yeah, morning, Joe.
Looks like it's going to be a scorcher today, doesn't it?
Yeah, nice and clear.
How'd the weekend go?
Lousy.
Why? What do you mean?
Oh, Faye and me had a ruckus Saturday night.
Oh, that's so?
Yeah, it happens every time we have somebody over for dinner. Never fails. Yeah. And she gets to yakking it up with the company. We never eat till 10:30. It's a miserable time for dinner.
Yeah, it's pretty late at that.
Saturday night we had the Johnsons over. Going to play a little cards, have a little dinner. You know, relax.
Mm-hmm.
Wife fixed Swedish meatballs. They're on the stove. Everything's dandy. She gets to talking. We finally sit down to eat. It's 10:15. Meatballs are burned.
Yeah.
Well, that time we were all so hungry we lost our appetite. It was real embarrassing, Joe. We finally sat down. I figured I'd let Faye know I was pretty sore. But I didn't want to come right out and tell her in front of the Johnsons, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
So I picked up one of the meatballs that was burned. Said she'd invented something new. Everybody else used chlorophyll for their teeth, but we had built-in charcoal.
Yeah. Well, what'd she say?
Nothing. Just a look. Hasn't said a word to me since. Sends the kids with messages for me. It's pretty miserable.
She'll probably be over when you get home tonight.
Pardon me.
Yes, sir?
Is the homicide department where you report a murder?
Yes, sir, that's right.
You the fellas I talked to about a murder?
Yes, sir. Come on in. Sit down. Take that chair over there.
Thought I'd never make it.
Are you all right?
Yeah, now that I'm here, it's all right.
Your face is pretty badly cut there. Those bruises, scratches on your throat. You sure you're all right now?
Yeah, I'm all right. I never thought I'd get here. Times I was ready to quit, but then I'd think of Kevin, what they did to him. I had to keep walking. I had to. For Kevin, I had to.
Well, everything's all right now. You can tell us about it.
I don't know where to start.
What's your name, young fella?
Bruce Hamilton.
All right, Bruce. I'm Joe Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
Hello, Bruce.
Oh.
We know that you must have been through a terrible ordeal, but you can tell us about it. It's all right.
What day is today?
It's Monday the 9th.
Monday. And it was Saturday night. Just 2 days. Seems like 10 years. We just finished dinner, sitting around the fire having coffee, trying to figure out whose turn it was to do the dishes. Then we heard them.
You heard them? Who's that?
Horsemen. Lots of them. They rode right into the camp. One of them yelled something, and they all stopped. Stood there looking at us. We didn't know what to do, who they were. We just stood there.
And this big guy, I guess he was the leader, said something to us in Spanish. We couldn't understand him.
All right, go ahead.
You see, Kevin and I go to school together. Summer vacation, we decided to go down to Mexico and do a little prospecting. That's the reason we were there.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
We just stood there and looked at him. Big guy said something else, and then they all laughed. And he got off his horse and came over to Kevin and me. He was a big man. When we tried to tell him that we didn't know what he was saying, he laughed and turned to the other men, and they laughed too. Big guy said something else to him, and they all got off their horses and started to go through our things. Kevin told them not to and started to walk over to him to stop him. The leader hit Kevin and knocked him down. The men laughed at him, and Kevin got up and ran toward one of them. Kevin started to hit him. I broke away from the one that was holding me and ran to help Kevin. The big guy grabbed me and hit me in the face, knocked me down and started to kick me. I heard a shot. When I looked where Kevin was, he was all doubled up, holding his stomach. He hollered at me to help him. Then the guy shot him again. He fell down and didn't move. They all laughed, thought it was a big joke. I got up, one of them shot at me. I started running. I ran as fast as I could. He kept shooting. Thought sure they'd hit me, and I kind of waited for it. Then I ran through some bushes, and I fell into this gully.
Mm-hmm.
When I hit the bottom, I just lay there and didn't move, almost afraid to breathe. Guess they thought they'd kill me.
I see. What happened then?
I waited until I couldn't hear them anymore, and then I crawled up out of the gully to see if they were gone. I wanted to help Kevin. I didn't see anybody, so I walked over to where he was. He was laying on his face. You got no idea how I felt when I turned him over.
Mm-hmm. All right, we understand. Go ahead.
I knew right away he was dead. They shot him in the stomach and in the chest. Shirt was all stained. There was nothing I could do for him. Nothing anybody could do. I looked at him for a long time. Guess I cried. It was terrible. Kevin was dead and there's nothing I could do for him.
I see. What'd you do then?
I buried Kevin. I looked for something to dig the grave with, but they'd taken everything, even the shovels, everything. I found a place under a tree and dug a grave with my hands. Then I went back and got Kevin. Laid him in the grave I dug and covered him up. Said a prayer for him. I did the best I could for him. Best I could.
All right, son. Try to take it easy. Frank, let's get him some water. I'll take him down to the interrogation room, all right? All right. Bruce, maybe you'd like to go down the hall to another room. It's a little more quiet down there, huh?
Yeah. Sorry. Crying like a kid. I guess you think it's silly, but I can't help it.
Oh, it's all right, Bruce. We know how you feel. Nobody gets too old to cry. Go ahead. No, it's down this way.
Okay. I'm so tired. I'm glad to get this over with.
Sure. All right, here we are. Go ahead, Bruce. Want to sit down?
Thanks.
Here's your glass of water, Bruce.
Thanks. Tastes good. Helps.
All right. Now, is there any more you want to tell us?
Well, there's a little more. There was nothing I could do. I looked around. They'd taken everything. Dishes, food, supplies, clothes. I went over the mesquite bushes where we hid in our duffel bag. We kept all our money and papers in there. Wallets, identification, all our valuables. They'd found that. It was gone. They hadn't left anything.
Well, they took everything. Didn't leave a thing, huh?
Not a thing.
What'd you do then?
Started to walk. We parked our car just off the highway, and it was about 5 miles. When I got to where we'd park it, the car was gone. I didn't know what to do. What could I do?
All right.
I started to walk to Ensenada to tell the police. Then I began to think that the bandits had taken my wallet. I didn't have any identification, no way to prove who I was. Couldn't even speak the language. Got scared that they might not believe me.
Now, you walked all the way from Ensenada to the American border, is that it?
That's right. I walked all Saturday night, and Sunday morning I found an old adobe house, and I crawled through a window and slept. I don't know how long I was asleep, but it was dark when I woke up. I started to walk again. I walked all Sunday night, too. When I got to the border, I was afraid to go through the gate, so I went down by the riverbed and found a hole in the fence. I crawled through and went over the American side. When I got there, I felt better. safe. I figured that I'd go up to the first policeman I saw and tell him what happened.
Did you notify the authorities down in San Diego?
No, I got to the police station, but I didn't go in. I didn't tell them.
Why not?
Like I said, I didn't have any way to prove who I was. I had no money. My wallet was gone. My clothes were all torn. Face was all cut. I thought it'd be better if I could get to Kevin's mother. If I could see her and talk to her, she'd know what to do. I hitched a ride. I wanted to go to San Francisco. Truck driver brought me this far. While we were driving, I thought more and more about what I'd say to Kevin's mother, how I'd tell her he was dead. Then I knew I couldn't do it. But I had to tell somebody. That's why I came to see you.
Now, Bruce, we're going to have to go back down to Mexico. You'll be able to show us where the body is, won't you?
Well, if I have to go, I guess I can. But I can tell you exactly where it was. I can give you a map, tell you right where he's buried.
Do you want to give us that information now?
Yeah. It was south of Ensenada, 40 miles down the new paved highway.
South of Ensenada, 40 miles. You sure it was 40 miles?
Yeah. While we were driving, Kevin and I kept trying to figure out how many kilometers to a mile. I kept watching the speedometer. It was just 40 miles when we turned off the paved highway onto a little dirt road.
40 miles?
Yeah. There's a clump of trees near there in the gully. You can't miss it.
I see. Can you give us the description of the car, the license number?
Oh, I don't remember the license number, but the car was a 51 Ford sedan, dark blue. Car belonged to Kevin. I never paid any attention to the license.
Mm-hmm. That's K-E-V-I-N, Kevin, huh?
Yeah.
Now we can check that through DMV. What was Kevin's full name and address?
Kevin Allen Bradley. He lived at 6502 Washington Street, San Francisco. He lived with his mother, apartment on Nob Hill.
Mm-hmm. Would you give us a description of Kevin?
Well, he's about my size, generally. 5'10", 140 pounds, blue eyes. His hair's light, kind of blonde like mine, 22 years old. We looked a lot alike. Kids at school used to think we were brothers sometimes.
I see.
Joey better get a communication to the Mexican authorities, fill them in on the whole thing. Tell them we're coming down.
Yeah.
Contact San Francisco and let them handle that end of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Get a teletype off the DMV in Sacramento, get a license number on the car. We better contact the San Diego PD and get a hold of Al Gate and fill him in on the thing.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll stay here with Bruce. You want to take care of that?
Uh-huh.
Now, look, young fella, would you know these bandits again if you saw them?
I might not know some of them, but the big guy and the one that shot Kevin up, I'll never forget them. The big guy was tall, heavy, over 6 feet, well over 200 pounds. I'll never forget him. That laugh when he killed Kevin. When he laughed, you could see he had 2 gold teeth right here in front. These here.
2 gold teeth, huh?
Yeah.
Now, how about the other man, Bruce? Did you get a good look at him?
He was a small man, dark like the leader. He wasn't wearing a hat. Real thin face. His clothes were all dirty, and his pants were torn around the bottoms. He was wearing those leather sandals, the open kind. His feet were filthy, like he hadn't had a bath in a year.
You think you'd be able to identify any of the others?
Well, I don't know. Maybe if I saw him. I was scared, and I don't mind admitting it.
Joe?
Yeah, Frank.
I stopped by R&I before I went on with the other communications. Checked the name Kevin Allen Bradley through.
Yeah.
There's a teletype from San Francisco dated July 13th. It's a missing person report on Kevin. You want to read it?
What's it say? Regular missing report?
Well, it's described as male, white, American, 22 years, 5'10", 140 pounds, blonde, blue eyes, fair complexion. Time of disappearance was wearing a dark blue gabardine suit. Driving a dark blue 1951 Ford, license number 1 Robert 2951. Nothing else, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
He's known to be carrying a sum of money in excess of $1,500 when he disappeared.
$1,500? That's a lot of money, isn't it?
Not to Kevin. He was used to carrying that kind of money. See, his folks were pretty rich. He always had all the money he wanted.
Oh, I see. Well, how about this missing report here, Bruce?
What do you mean?
Well, didn't Kevin's mother know that he was going to Mexico?
Well, no. You see, they had an argument about where he was going to spend his summer vacation. She wanted him to go to Canada, and he wanted to come down here. One afternoon, he just took off. Kevin went to the bank and got the money and just took off.
He didn't tell his mother anything about it?
No, he thought that she'd try to stop him. Probably would have, too, if she'd known.
Oh, was the money among the things that were stolen from you?
Well, yeah. It was in Kevin's wallet in the duffel bag.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose it was kind of foolish to leave that much money just laying around, but we did. We didn't think that anything had happened like this. I stop and think back over it. Kevin being dead, I don't know, I just get sick.
Now, you say you didn't have any money. How did you get along?
I didn't think much about food. The important thing was to tell somebody about Kevin's being killed. That's all I thought about. Telling somebody.
Yeah, sure. Well, you must be pretty hungry then. You'd like something to eat now, would you?
Yeah, it might taste pretty good. Sandwich and some coffee. How about you guys? You gonna eat?
Frank, how about you?
Yeah, after I get communications off, I'll run across the street and pick up some sandwiches and coffee and bring them back here.
All right, fine.
What kind of sandwich you like, Bruce?
No, anything. Doesn't make any difference.
Joe?
Oh, ham's all right. White bread, a lot of mustard.
Okay, I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh, say, Joe, I'm running kind of low on my allowance. I only got $1.50. You got a little change?
Yeah, sure.
Now, here, let me get this.
What's that?
Huh?
Did you say you had some money?
Well, I have got $10. $10 bill.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought you said the bandits took all your money. Did I get it wrong?
Well, what I meant is I didn't think I had any money. I found this 10 in my pocket just before I walked in here.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Look, you can see it's all wadded up. It must have been in my pocket for a long time. Just a 10 all wadded up.
Yeah, well, it's all crumpled up there. You can hardly tell what it is, can you?
Yeah, that's right. But you can see it's a 10.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. It's all wrinkled up. You can see how I missed it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, why don't you put everything in your pockets right here on the table, huh?
Why? What'll that show?
All right, come on, boy.
I haven't got anything in my pockets.
Well, you found the 10. Maybe you'll find something else.
All right, but I don't know what it's going to show. Pocket knife, handkerchief, comb. You got the 10 on the table there. That's all.
Maybe there's something in your coat pocket.
No, I don't carry anything in my coat pockets. Stretches them.
Well, you take a look anyway, huh?
I told you I don't use them. See? Nothing.
How about the inside pocket?
No. There's nothing there.
Let's have a look, huh?
I told you there's nothing there.
Then you won't mind if we have a look.
What's that you got there, Bruce?
That's my wallet. Guess they didn't take it after all. Gee, thanks for finding it. No, I probably wouldn't have thought to look for it. I just figured that it was gone. Here, let me have it.
Let's see what's in it, huh?
Well, just some cards, personal stuff like that. Nothing you'd be interested in. I forgot all about it. I feel pretty silly. I didn't even know it was there.
Take a look, Joe. You say this is your wallet, is that right, Bruce?
Yeah, it's mine. I told you it's mine. How about letting me have it, huh?
There's quite a bit of money in here, Bruce.
Huh?
I don't know. Just a glance here. Looks to be about $1,000, doesn't it?
Well, just a minute. I think I can explain that.
There's another thing here I don't think you can explain.
What's that?
The name in the wallet. Kevin Bradley.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
With the finding of Kevin Bradley's wallet, the case had taken a new turn. We continued to question Bruce Hamilton, but he insisted that he thought the wallet and the money had been taken by the bandits when they killed the Bradley boy. While I talked to him, Frank went down the hall and contacted the Mexican authorities and gave them the information. He gave them the description of Kevin Bradley and of Bruce Hamilton. They told him that to the best of their knowledge, there were no bandits operating in the vicinity, but they would dispatch a search party to go over the area. They said they would keep us advised of any developments that might arise. Frank also contacted the San Francisco Police Department and gave them the information. They said they'd take care of that end of the investigation. 11:47 a.m. Frank came back to the interrogation room, and we continued to question the Hamilton boy.
I told you all I know. I don't know how the money got there. I was as surprised as you were. I don't understand it. You gotta believe me.
Yeah, well, you're making it pretty tough to believe, Bruce. It's kind of hard to buy the fact that over $1,000 in Kevin's wallet turns up in your pocket and you don't know how it got there.
But it's the truth. I don't know how I can convince you that it's the truth.
Well, there are a couple of other things that aren't clear here.
What? Tell me. I'm not lying. I've got nothing to hide. What's not right? Tell me.
Well, this business of not telling the authorities.
I told you I was scared that they might not believe me. You can understand that, can't you?
Well, maybe up to a point.
I thought that if I could get to Kevin's mother, then she could take care of it. I didn't know what else to do. Then when I got to L.A., I had a chance to think about it, and I couldn't go through with it. I couldn't tell his mother. I couldn't face her.
Bruce, when you described where we could find the body, you said it was about 40 miles down the paved highway, that right?
That's what I said.
Well, how long has it been since you've been to Mexico?
Well, I told you I just came back from there. Don't you believe anything I've told you?
Well, Joe and I just finished an investigation down in Mexico. Investigation took us about 70 miles south of Ensenada. We found the highway paved for only about 5 miles south. You say 40 miles. How do you explain the difference?
Well, maybe I was wrong about the distance.
Well, you're pretty sure when you first told us about it.
Well, maybe I made a mistake.
There's something else, Bruce. It's a little hazy here.
I told you I want to help anything.
How far south of Ensenada did you say you were?
I said about 40 miles now. I'm not sure.
But you are sure that it was south of Ensenada?
Well, yeah.
And Kevin was killed on a Saturday night?
That's right.
And you started for the States right away?
That's what I said. I started walking as soon as I found the car was gone.
And you walked all the way to the border?
Well, that's right.
How'd you walk? What route did you take?
I told you I stayed off the road. I was afraid of the bandits coming back. I walked along the roadside and then through the hills. I got off the roadside whenever I saw anybody coming.
But you did walk all the way?
Yeah, that's right. All the way from Ensenada to the border.
And it took you how long?
Oh, Saturday night and Sunday night. I got a ride in San Diego in the morning.
What time do you figure that you started for the border?
Maybe 11:30, midnight. I don't know for sure.
And you stopped at dawn?
Well, yeah, I stopped and slept. Then I woke up and I started to walk.
And you're asking us to believe that you walked over 100 miles in less than 14 hours. Is that right?
Yeah.
Through country like that?
What do you think? That I'm making the whole thing up? Look at my face, my back. Here, look. Does this look like my imagination?
You could have gotten these in a fight with Kevin. Maybe he didn't want you to take the money.
You keep talking about the money. I try to tell you I don't know how the money got in my pocket. I don't know anything about it. You think I killed Kevin, is that right?
Yeah, it looks that way, doesn't it?
But he was my best friend. I had no reason to kill him. He was my friend.
Now, look, son, we better get this thing straight for you. You've opened up a can of beans here. You waltz in here and give us a cock and bull story about this killing. Parts of your story we can't buy. Why are you trying to sell it to us? You lied about the road. You lied about the money. The story about how you walked doesn't ring true. You want to know what I really think, Bruce? I think the whole thing's a lie from start to finish. A lie. Now, let's come off it. Who killed Kevin Bradley?
I don't know. I don't know.
Now, get this straight, Bruce. Did you kill him?
Huh?
Did you kill Kevin Bradley? Is that the reason for this story?
No, I didn't.
Well, somebody did. Can you tell us who?
You're getting me all mixed up.
You're the one that's getting it mixed up, Bruce. We just want to know who killed Kevin Bradley.
We think maybe it was you.
Looks like it might have been.
No, it couldn't be. Leave me alone. I didn't do it.
Why couldn't you have done it? Looks like you did.
Because Kevin Bradley isn't dead.
What's that?
He was never killed. I'm Kevin Bradley.
The boy broke down completely and admitted that the whole thing was a hoax. He said he hadn't been in Mexico at all, but that he had spent the past week in a downtown hotel working out the story that he planned to tell us. He admitted that the wounds were self-inflicted. He explained that he had scratched his own face and hit himself with a rock to produce the cuts and bruises. He went on to say that he had picked Mexico as the scene of the false killing because he thought the story would be more difficult to trace. Like many citizens, he was unaware of the close cooperation between American law enforcement agencies and the Mexican authorities. We asked him about the existence of a Bruce Hamilton, and he told us there was such a boy in his class at school. 12:50 p.m. The communication had come through from San Francisco, and the teletype said that Mrs. Bradley was en route to Los Angeles to aid in the investigation. When we told Kevin about this, he lapsed into silence, and for another hour refused to say anything. 2:05 p.m.
All right, now look, boy, you've been sitting there for an hour and you haven't said a word. If there's something you want to say, well, listen.
There's nothing to say. I tried to get away from her. All my life she's told me what to do. I tried to tell her, but I couldn't. Nobody would understand. You don't, you can't. Every time I tried to get away, she'd say something or do something, so I couldn't leave. I was trapped, and I didn't know what to do. Then I thought I did know, and even that didn't work. I thought that if you told her I was dead, she'd forget me. Leave me alone. I can't even die right.
Kevin, you're here. I knew what they told me was wrong. I knew you were all right.
Well, Mother.
What happened to you, Kevin, darling? Your face, your clothes. Oh, my poor baby, how did this happen? Are you all right? Oh, your poor face all cut. What's happened, Kevin?
It's all right, Mother.
No, it's not all right. I don't know what happened or who did this awful thing, but I'll take care of it. Officer.
Yes, ma'am?
What do you know about this?
I beg your pardon?
What do you know about this? Did you do it? Did you hit this poor boy? Look at this poor face. Just look at it. It's terrible. That's what it is. It's terrible. I need to find out just what happened here. I'll get to the bottom of this. No, don't you worry, Kevin, baby. Mother's here. She'll take care of you.
Mother, please.
It's all right, honey. Everything will be all right.
Mother, these officers had nothing to do with it.
Of course not. If you say so, Kevin, baby. Have you called the doctor about this? Have you gotten in touch with someone to take care of his face? Never mind. I'll take him to a doctor. I'll look after him. Poor baby. Mother will look after him.
Mother, please don't.
Now, Kevin, you know that Mother knows what's best. Mother will take care of you.
Stop it. Stop it. Shut up.
Heaven.
I'm sick of it. Tired of it. For 20 years, as long as I can remember, you've taken care of things. Did you ever think I might want to take care of a few things myself? Have you ever thought that I wasn't a kid anymore? I'm an adult. Like it says on the missing report, male, white American, 22 years, an adult.
All right, take it easy, son.
No, I've tried to say this before, and I've never had the nerve. I've got it now, and I'm going to finish. I'm tired of having you make all the arrangements for me. I'm going to have dates with girls that I want to go out with, not the ones you pick for me. I'm going to get a job and make my own way. I'm going to buy a car, and if I smash it up and me along with it, it's my business. I'll never forgive you for what you've done. You spent 20 years making me an outsider, always on the fringe. I couldn't do the things I wanted to, only the things you wanted me to do, only the things you thought best. I'm sick of having you make the decisions for me. From here on in, I'm going to make them myself. I tried to kill Kevin Bradley for no reason. You killed him a long time ago. Take a good look at me, Mother. Take a good look and see what you've done. I hate the sight of you. I hate everything about you. Now leave me alone and go away.
All right, take it easy, boy.
It's all right, officer. I understand. Sometimes he gets like this. He doesn't mean it. I know him. All right, Kevin. I'm sure the officers are impressed. Dry your eyes and we'll go home. Do you hear me, Kevin? Stop this foolishness, I said. We're going home.
Yes, Mother, I hear you.
I'm sorry, officer. Embarrassing. I don't know why he does these things. He's always been pretty emotional.
Yes, ma'am.
There's nothing else. We'd better be going. I want to catch the early train back to the city. It's a party planned for tomorrow night. A million things to do. You'll have to help Kevin. Kevin, do you hear me?
Yes, Mother, I hear you.
Well, then say goodbye to the officers and let's go.
Goodbye, Mr. Friday. Mr. Smith. I'm sorry this all happened.
Yeah, so are we, son.
I tried, Sergeant. Just didn't work, but I did try.
Kevin, let's go. I don't want to miss that plane.
Yes, Mother.
Oh, Sergeant.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for giving my boy back to me.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 9th, the matter was taken before the city attorney for a decision. In a moment, the results of that decision.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, if you're planning a trip this coming holiday weekend, I'd like to suggest that you take Fatimas along with you. Get a carton or two, and that way you'll have enough to last the trip. In Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness and a really different flavor and aroma. You get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. That's king-size Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack and carton.
In the interest of justice, there was no complaint filed against Kevin Allen Bradley. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, Edwin Bruce, Sarah Selby. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King-size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Friday, hear the Mario Lanza Show on NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, king size, extra mild and soothing, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. You get a call that a man has had a heart attack, fallen and fractured his skull. It looks like an accidental death. Your job, investigate. Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality.
Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
Switch to Fatima yourself today.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, September 4th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 10:46 p.m. when we got to 2102 West Francis Avenue. The front door.
Yes?
Miss Prater?
Yes, that's right.
Police officers, ma'am.
Oh, yes, of course. Come in.
Thank you. Well, I'm Sergeant Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do?
How do you do, ma'am?
How do you do, Mr. Smith? Won't you sit down?
Yes, thank you very much.
Doctor said you'd be here. Guess he told you about the accident.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if there's something you want to know, I guess I can tell you about it.
Mm-hmm. Your husband's full name was Alfred Kenneth Prater, is that right?
Yes, Alfred Kenneth.
I wonder if we could go in, Miss Prater.
Yes, it's in the dining room.
Yes, ma'am.
We just finished dinner, and Alfred got up from the table, said he wanted to see the ball game on television. Excused himself and got up, and all of a sudden he put his hand on his chest and started to stagger. Said something about his heart. Asked me to help him.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Well, I jumped up to go to him. He just crumpled and fell. With his head on the table, the lay there didn't move. The doctor said his skull might be fractured. That's what it might have killed him.
Did you call the doctor right away?
No, I stayed with Alfred. My mother called Dr. Adams. He's her own doctor. When we got here, poor Alfred was gone.
We'll try to take it easy. Dr. Adams, he's the one that called us.
Yes, he said he would. Something about a death certificate. I didn't understand it.
Well, Miss Prater, maybe you'd like to go into the living room.
Yes, please.
Can we get you anything? Glass of water or anything?
No, I'll be all right. It'll just take a minute.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Just a few more questions. Did your husband have a history of a bad heart, any trouble like this before?
Not that I know of. He never said anything about it. He used to work awfully hard, long hours.
Has your husband been under the care of a physician?
No, never was sick. Had a doctor where we used to live. Since we've been here, we haven't had any need for one.
Your husband ever give you any indication there was something wrong with his heart?
No, if there was something wrong, Alfred would have said something about it. We had no secrets, told each other everything. Married 14 years and never had a single fight that amounted to anything. Wonderful husband. Woman couldn't ask for anything more. Good provider.
Well, who was here when your husband had the accident, ma'am?
My mother, she lives with us.
Is she here now?
Yes, she's in the next room lying down. It's been a trying time, officer.
Yes, ma'am.
All those years, Alfred and me. When Ray was born, he's 9 now. Happy family. All the neighbors used to tell me how lucky I was, but I knew it. I knew it. Now it's all gone.
I wonder if we could speak to your mother, Miss Prater.
Yes, of course. I'll get her. Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am.
She's 55. Hasn't been too well lately, and this whole thing's been quite a shock for her. I'd appreciate it if you'd be as brief as possible.
Yes, ma'am. We understand.
Mother? Mother, are you awake?
Yes, dear. What is it?
Well, there are 2 officers out in the living room. They'd like to talk to you.
What about?
It's about Alfred.
Alfred, what about him?
I just wanted to ask you some questions. Nothing wrong.
I'll tell him I'll be right there.
All right, dear. I'll be right out, officer.
All right, thank you, Miss Prater.
Can I get you something? A cup of coffee or something?
No, not a thing, thank you.
No, ma'am, thank you very much.
If you don't mind, I'd like to make a pot of tea for Mother and myself.
Yes, go right ahead.
Do you want to come out in the kitchen? We can talk while I put the water on.
All right, ma'am.
Did you call the coroner, Frank?
Yeah, Joe, before we left the office. Should be here in a minute now. Have to get a sketch of the room before he removes the body.
Yeah.
Ray's the one who's going to suffer for it.
How's that, ma'am?
Poor little kid. He and his father were great friends. I don't know what he's going to do when he really knows what's happened.
Well, doesn't the boy know about it yet?
Yes, he was here when it happened, but I don't think he realizes yet what it means.
How old did you say he was, ma'am?
9 last month.
Where is he now, Miss Prater?
He's in his room, asleep. Here's Mother now, officer. Mother?
Yes, dear.
Mother? This is Mr. Friday and Mr. Smith from the police. My mother, Mrs. Atkins.
Hello.
How do you do, ma'am?
Ellen says there's something about Alfred?
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
I don't see any need to call the police. Accident, that's what the doctor said.
Well, there's no death certificate, ma'am. We have to look into it. It's just routine.
Mrs. Prater told us pretty much what we want to know. We'd just like to get your side of it.
Sure, I was there, you know. I saw it all. He got up from the table, said he had a heart attack. Well, he wasn't fooling me.
I beg your pardon?
He wasn't fooling me. I knew. Heart attack. Phooey.
I don't understand.
He was drunk.
Mother.
Well, I still think he was, and you ain't going to change my mind.
Had Mr. Prater been drinking?
No. Well, he maybe had a drink on the way home from work, you know, to relax him a little.
Mm-hmm.
Relax him. There was no trouble relaxing him. Big thing was to get him off the dime. Laziest man I ever knew. I told her not to marry him. I was against it all the time. I knew his type. Out carousing around. Hanging around in bars. And he'd come home and take it out on poor Ellen and little Ray.
Mother, please. Alfred was my husband. He's Ray's father. He's dead. Find a little forgiveness in your heart.
That's all I'll find. A little. Officer, I'm not afraid to say what I think. I didn't like him. I never did. As far as I'm concerned, he was no good. Drunken bum, that's all he was. He hated me. He never did like me. Regretted every mouthful of food I ate. Never was too quiet about it either.
Mother, that's not true. Alfred never regretted having you here with us.
Well, that's what you say, and I know different. He might have died from a heart attack, all right. But if he did, that was that cheap liquor brought it on. Got up from the table, staggered around, and fell. Well, you say it was his heart, and I say he was drunk. Just plain drunk.
Well, how about it, Miss Prater? Had Mr. Prater been drinking enough to make him fall, do you think?
Certainly not, officer. You'll have to excuse Mother. She doesn't mean what she's saying.
I do, too. If you're going to call me a liar, I'm going to my room. When you're sorry about what you said, you can call me.
You'll have to forgive her. She doesn't know what she's saying.
Yes, ma'am.
My father died when I was very young, Sergeant. That was all Mother had. Guess she never did think any man was good enough for me.
I hate to do this, Mrs. Prater, but there are some questions we have to ask for our report if you'll bear with us.
Of course, I understand.
You said his full name was Alfred Kenneth Prater, is that right?
Yes.
What was his age?
36. Birthday's November 22nd.
How about his physical description?
5'11", 167 pounds. Front door. You mind answering it?
Not at all, ma'am. I imagine it's for us anyway. I'll get it, Joe.
Miss Prater, we'd like to get this straight. Just your mother, your son, and yourself were present when this accident occurred, is that right?
Yes, just the three of us. The water's ready. You sure you don't want a cup of tea?
No, ma'am. Thanks just the same.
How about the other officers?
No, I don't think you'll want him either. About your boy, Ray, Miss Prater.
What about him?
You said he was asleep?
That's right. We put him to bed right after the accident. He was so close to Alfred. They were great friends. Thought it might be best if he went back to sleep. You want to see him?
Well, probably better if he sleeps right now. We can talk to him in the morning if we have to.
I'd appreciate it if you could, Mr. Friday. He's just a boy and all this. You know.
Surely, ma'am. We understand.
Deputy Coroner Joy's taking care of the body.
Well, what about that, sir?
You're going to take Alfred now?
Yes, ma'am.
Will he be? Can I go along? Poor Alfred.
There's no need for it, ma'am. There'll be an inquest after the autopsy. We'll give you a call about that. We know how you feel, ma'am. We don't like to intrude at a time like this, but it's one of our duties, there being no doctor in attendance at the time of death. Meantime, if there's anything we can do for you, here's our card, and you let us know anything at all.
Thank you very much. Michigan 5211.
That's right, that's right. Station 2521.
All right, Mr. Friday. Terrible thing. Can't hardly believe it. Alfred dead. Terrible. Officers?
Yes, ma'am?
I hope you didn't take Mother seriously about Alfred drinking. I know she didn't really mean it.
Well, don't worry about it, Miss Prater. We understand.
Don't forget to call us if there's anything you need.
I won't. Good night, Mr. Friday, Mr. Smith.
Good night, ma'am.
That's one for you. for you, huh, Joe?
Yeah.
Even when he's dead, his mother-in-law won't leave him alone. Must have been a real pleasant life.
He's been rough on his wife, too, huh?
Hey, you.
Joe, you hear that?
I think I did over there by the window, huh?
Yeah, there's somebody there.
Well, did you call us, son?
Yeah. You the cops?
Yeah, that's right. Is there something you wanted?
Yeah, I'm Ray Prater. Something I wanted to tell you.
All right, what is it, son?
About my father. I don't want Mom to hear me. She'd be sore if she knew I told you. I'm supposed to be asleep.
What's that, Ray?
I've been sitting here listening to you talk to me. She told me she'd tell you, and she didn't.
Tell us what, Ray?
Maybe I shouldn't tell you. Mom said she'd take care of it. I just don't know what to do. I tried to think of what Dad'd do. He always said if there was something wrong to find a policeman and tell him.
All right, son. What is it you want to tell us?
About Dad. Just before he fell and hit his head, he was finishing dinner. He drank a glass of milk and put the glass down on the table and he said to Mom, "This milk tastes bitter." Just like that. This milk tastes bitter. I tried mine, but it tastes all right.
Now, go ahead.
Well, a little bit after it, he got up from the table and he fell and hit his head.
Did your mother hear him say that about the milk?
Yes, sir. She was right there.
Well, why did you say that you didn't want your mother to know that you talked to us, Ray?
Because when I asked her about it, she said for me not to tell anybody. Mom said that if I told anybody, they wouldn't believe me. They'd be mad at me. I sat here and thought about it, and if she didn't tell you, I thought maybe I should. Is that wrong, mister?
No, son, that's not wrong.
Hope it's all right. Is it, mister?
What's that, son?
Are you mad at me?
Before we left the house, the incident looked just like another natural or accidental death. However, with the boy's story, it seemed possible that it might be something more. 11:56 p.m. Under the pretext of getting additional information for our report, Frank and I went back into the house. We talked to Mrs. Prater for another hour. It was possible that the boy's story about the glass of milk was his imagination, but it had to be checked out. While we talked to her, we had to be careful not to let her know that we'd seen or talked to little Ray. We noticed that the dishes from the evening meal had been washed and put away. We commented about this, and Mrs. Prater said that she'd done the dishes to keep her mind occupied while she waited for us. Frank and I asked her about her husband's insurance policies, and she gave us the name of the company that had written them. We asked if she and her husband had quarreled much, and she told us that in 14 years of marriage, they hadn't had one serious argument. During the conversation, we gave her every opportunity to tell us about Mr. Prater's remark concerning a glass of milk. She didn't mention it. Until we received the results of the autopsy, Frank and I figured we'd better wait before questioning her further. 12:34 a.m. We got back to the office and signed out. The next morning, we put in a call to the insurance company to check on the husband's policies. The deputy coroner said we'd have the results of the autopsy by noon. Thursday, 11:20 a.m.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. All right, sir, thank you. Yeah, that's right, Smith, 2521. Thanks again, bye.
Anything?
The insurance company says when they wrote the policy on Prater, there was nothing wrong with his heart.
Yeah.
Good-sized policy, Joe.
Yeah.
$25,000 double indemnity in case of accidental death.
Who's the beneficiary?
His wife. The guy at the company told me that Mrs. Prater called last week, wanted to know the premium on a larger amount.
Mm-hmm.
He gave it to her and said they'd like to send a salesman over to the house to talk to her and her husband. She said it wouldn't be necessary. She'd bring him down to the office. They haven't heard from her since.
$50,000. Sure good enough motive, isn't it?
Yeah. Funny about the kid, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Figuring what his father said about the milk might have meant something. Must have been a tough decision for the little guy to make, whether to tell us or keep quiet.
I get it. Homicide, Friday. Yeah, just a second. All right, go ahead. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Abernathy at the coroner's office just finished the autopsy.
Anything?
Yeah. Considerable amount of poison in the victim's stomach.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Friends, the name Fatima has always stood for quality. Fatimas are distinctive, with a truly different flavor and aroma. And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Yes, there's a good reason why Fatima continues to grow in favor among king-size cigarette smokers everywhere.
In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest Turkish and domestic varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture, Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, sunny yellow pack. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So next time, insist on Fatima quality. Look for the bright, sunny yellow pack. Smoke Fatima, the extra mild and soothing king-size cigarette, with the added protection of Fatima quality.
The finding of the poison in the stomach of Alfred Prater had definitely ruled out natural or accidental death. There was still the possibility, however, that he'd taken his own life. The story given us by the Sun made this unlikely, but still within the realm of possibility. 1:15 p.m., Frank and I arrived at the Prater residence.
Yes? Oh, you're the officers who were here last night. Won't you come in?
Thank you.
Something more that you wanted to know? I think I told you everything last night.
Well, something's come up, ma'am, that kind of changes things a little.
What's that?
Well, originally, ma'am, we thought your husband's death was natural or accidental.
You mean now you don't think so?
No, ma'am, he died of poison.
No, it can't be. There's a mistake someplace.
No, afraid not, ma'am. Wonder if we could sit down. A few questions we're going to have to ask you.
Yes, of course. This is quite a shock, officers. I don't know what to think.
Yes, ma'am. Did you tell us what you had for dinner last night, what your husband ate?
He ate the same things all of us did, nothing different.
What was that, ma'am?
Green salad, macaroni and cheese, bread and butter, and a pudding for dessert.
You all ate the same food, is that right?
Yes, what are you trying to say? Do you think that I poisoned Alfred?
We're not trying to say anything, Mrs. Prater. Your husband died of poison. We're trying to find out why.
Just a minute. Mother? Mother, can you come out here a minute? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Your husband have anything to drink with his dinner, ma'am?
Of course, water, then coffee after dinner. He always has a couple of cups of coffee after dinner.
Now, all he had with his dinner was water, is that right?
Yes, just water.
You ever drink anything else with his dinner? Milk, tea, maybe a glass of beer?
Oh, milk once in a while. Last night we only had enough for Ray, though. Just one glass. As for beer, Mother'd raised such a fuss, I don't think Alfred wanted to go through it. No, if he wanted beer, he drank it at the bar down the street.
Well, you're sure, though, that last night your husband only drank water with his meal, is that right?
Yes, I told you, just water. Why all this harping on milk? What are you trying to say? What are you getting at? Mother, are you coming out?
That's all the ruckus about. Can I even take a nap in peace?
These officers just told me that Alfred's death wasn't accidental, Mother.
Not accidental? Nonsense. The doctor said it was an accident. What more do you need? Got drunk and fell down, broke his head. Of course it was an accident.
I'm afraid not, Miss Atkins. Your son-in-law was poisoned.
Poisoned? How?
That's what we're trying to find out.
I seem to think that maybe I did it, Mother.
You? Why, that's ridiculous. Why would she do it?
Well, there was quite a bit of insurance, for one thing.
You've been nosing around, haven't you? So there was a little insurance. What does that prove?
It was more than a little, ma'am. $25,000 worth. Double indemnity clause makes it $50,000.
And that brings up another thing, Miss Prater.
Yes?
The insurance company says that you called them and wanted to raise the amount of the policy. Is that right?
Well, yes, I did call him, but Alfred told me to. Said he wanted to provide more for me and Ray.
Anyone hear your husband say that he wanted more insurance?
No, we're not in the habit of discussing our private business around other people.
Other people learn to keep their noses where they belong. The world would be a better place.
Miss Atkins, I wonder if you could tell us what you had for dinner last night.
But that is the limit. I just told you what we had. Isn't that enough? Come in here and you ask a lot of questions. Poor Alfred's not even buried, and you come in here and upset me.
Well, we're awfully sorry, Mrs. Prater, but we have to find out. That's what we're paid for.
It's all right, Ellen. We've got nothing to hide. Answer their questions, and then maybe they'll leave us alone.
But I told them that we don't know anything about it. I told them.
All right, honey. Now, calm down. Now, dinner last night. What you wanted to know about?
Yes, ma'am. Just what you had to eat.
Macaroni and cheese. Little salad and some pudding Ellen made.
Nothing else?
Bread and butter.
How about something to drink?
Water. Good, clean water.
Ray drink water, too?
No, he had milk.
Mr. Prater drink milk?
I told you.
We'd like for your mother to tell us, too, ma'am, just to keep the record straight.
I think he might have had some milk to drink. I don't remember special.
No, he didn't, Mother. Remember when I poured the milk for Ray? I said there wasn't enough for anyone else. Just one glass for Ray. That's all there was. Don't you remember?
Well, no, I don't. But if you say it was that way, then I guess it was. You got no reason to lie. Ever occur to you officers that maybe Alfred took the poison himself? Ever think of that?
How's that, ma'am?
Well, didn't you tell him, Ellen? About how he used to moan around the house saying he couldn't stand it anymore?
Oh, what's this, ma'am? Your husband ever talk about taking his own life?
Yes, I didn't want to bring it up, but now I suppose I'll have to.
Yes.
Alfred was pretty depressed. He felt that he wasn't getting any place in his job. He felt that at his age he should be farther along. Times he'd get real low, say he wasn't going any place. I did my best to make him feel better. Guess it didn't do any good.
Well, did he ever say he was thinking of taking his own life?
Yes, several times. I laughed him out of it, and things would go along quiet for a while, and then something would happen that would set him off again.
Well, how is it that you didn't tell us about this before, ma'am?
Well, I didn't think it'd prove anything. No reason to drag skeletons out of the closet.
You satisfied now? You happy? Now you know about Alfred, maybe you'll leave us alone.
Is your son here, ma'am?
Yes, he's out in the yard playing. I'll call him if you have to talk to him.
I'd like to very much, ma'am.
All right, I'll get him.
Before you go, Miss Frater,
Yes?
do you keep any poison around the house?
Of course not. I'd be afraid that Ray might find it.
Nothing at all? Nothing for rats, gophers, anything like that?
No, never been bothered with rats or mice. There aren't any gophers around. No, Sergeant. There's no poison in the house.
Well, you wouldn't mind if we looked around, would you? Maybe your husband bought some and he didn't tell you about it.
No, go ahead and look. I know you won't find anything. Alfred and I had talked about keeping anything around that Ray might get into. I don't recall ever having bought any poison, and I'm pretty sure Alfred didn't.
Well, we'll take a look later, ma'am. It's all right. Now, if we could just talk to your son.
I'll get him. Ray? Ray, come in here. No, right now. He'll be right in, Mr. Friday. I hope you won't say anything to upset him.
Yeah, Mom? What do you want?
These men here'd like to talk to you, son. They're policemen.
What do they want to talk to me about? I haven't done anything.
We know that, Ray. Just have a couple questions for you.
This is Mr. Friday and Mr. Smith, my son Ray.
Hi. Pleased to meet you.
You bet. Wonder if you could tell us what you had for dinner last night, Ray?
Dinner?
Yes, son.
Well, Mom fixed macaroni and cheese. We had that.
Mm-hmm. Anything else, son?
A salad. I didn't like it. Then we had some pudding for dessert.
What'd you have to drink, Ray?
Milk.
What'd your father have? Ray?
I don't remember too well. You better ask Mom. She'll tell you.
I told you, Mr. Friday, only Ray had milk. His father drank water.
Ray?
That's right, Mr. Friday. Dad drank water. Nothing else.
It was apparent that Mrs. Prater didn't know Ray had talked to us the night before, and we were reluctant to involve the boy any more than was necessary. We searched the house and the garage, but we found nothing that could have been used to poison the husband. We obtained samples of Ellen Prater's and Mrs. Atkins' handwriting. We canvassed the drugstores in the immediate area. None of the druggists we talked to could remember selling poison to a woman answering either description. We contacted the office, and Sergeants Gill and Cenas and Danny Galindo were dispatched to the neighborhood where the Praters had lived previously. They were to canvass the drugstores and at the same time talk to the neighbors. In talking to the people in the area around the house, we found that the Praters were the subject of constant gossip. We heard tales of violent arguments between the victim and his wife. Several of the quarrels had resulted in the neighbors calling the police to quiet them. Around the neighborhood, we found out that Mrs. Prater had a violent temper and had had several arguments with her husband in the corner bar. According to the bartender, she accused him of running around. He went on to tell us that as far as he knew, nothing was further from the truth. That Alfred Prater loved his home and his son, and that he took to drinking as an excuse to get away from his wife's nagging. 5:20 p.m. Frank and I checked into the office.
Rough day.
Yeah, a lot of legwork.
Not that so much. Just hoping Cenas and Galindo did better than us.
Well, we didn't do too bad. We pretty much proved that what she said about the happy home life wasn't true.
I suppose. Without being able to show they were in possession of the poison, we aren't going to be able to prove much. I got it, Joe.
Yeah.
Homicide, Smith. Yeah, Gil. Mm-hmm. How about that? Yeah, ask him to, huh? Okay. Said what? Yeah, I got it. Right. See you then.
And Cenas?
Yeah, they found the place she bought the poison. Druggist out there remembered her from the description, checked the book, used the name Eileen Peters. Funny thing, though.
Yeah.
When the druggist asked her the address, she gave him the real one. You know, the house they lived in previously?
She said what she wanted the poison for?
Yeah, Gil said the book read to destroy pests.
On the way out to pick up Mrs. Prater, Frank and I outlined the plan for identification. In the event the druggist was unable to give a positive identification, we thought it better if the suspect didn't know she was being observed. This would forestall any embarrassment to the druggist. We arrived at the Prater home and took the suspect into custody. She said that she couldn't understand why we were arresting her, but that she'd be more than happy to go with us to get the thing straightened out. 6:40 p.m. Frank and I talked with Mrs. Prater in the interrogation room.
Alfred and I got along perfectly, never a misunderstanding.
Oh, your neighbors don't bear that out, Miss Prater.
What?
They said that you two used to fight all the time. Had to call the police a couple of times.
They're busybodies, Mr. Friday, busybodies. They were jealous because Alfred and I were so happy. Once in a while we had a little fuss, but nothing worth mentioning.
How about the police being called, ma'am?
Well, they might have come by when we were playing the radio a little loud, having a party, something like that, but never an argument.
And you said your husband didn't drink any milk the night he died, is that right?
That's right, I did.
Your boy Ray seems to disagree with that. He said that his father did drink some milk, commented on the fact that it tasted bitter.
The little sneak, he's lying, of course, you know that. Wait a minute, you talked to him. He said that his father drank water, like I said. What are you trying to do, cause trouble between me and my son?
No, ma'am.
I should hope not. Poor little kid, father dead, and you're trying to say that I did it, that I killed Ray's father. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Frank?
Yeah, Joe.
a little warm in here. You want to open the door for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. That's better. Not too cold on you, is it, Miss Prater?
No.
Miss Prater, did you ever buy any poison for any purpose?
You asked me that before. I told you no then. The answer's the same now.
You're sure that you never bought any poison of any type?
Absolutely.
You ever do any business with a Mr. McLean in your old neighborhood?
McLean? Don't recall the name.
He's a druggist.
No. No, I always bought from Mr. Swenson, little drugstore in the corner near the house.
Excuse me a minute, will you please? I want to check something down the hall.
Yeah, all right, fine.
Listen, maybe you haven't got anything else to do, but I have. So if you'll get this foolishness over with, I'd like to go home.
Well, we're almost finished, Miss Prater. Just a couple more things.
Well, get 'em over with.
Same one, Joe. He's positive.
Mm-hmm. Miss Prater?
Yes?
Maybe if we lay this thing out for you, it'd be a little better.
Anything to get it over with. I want to go home. I got to get dinner for Ray and Mother.
All right. In the first place, you told us that you and your husband were happy. The neighbors tell us that you fought all the time. The bartender says you used to come in and raise the roof with your husband. You claimed he was going out with other women. So the part about you and your husband being happy is a lie, isn't it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you said your husband didn't drink any milk for dinner the night he died. Your son says he did.
What's all this about milk, anyway? What's that got to do with it?
Well, according to what your son said, it looks like that's what your husband got the poison in, doesn't it?
Where would I get poison? I didn't buy any. I told you that. You searched the house and the garage. You didn't find any.
We've got the man who sold it to you, Mrs. Prater. He just gave a positive identification.
And Don Meyer, our handwriting man, checked the samples of your handwriting with a signature in the druggist's buy book. They're the same.
You might have wanted to collect on that insurance policy.
Any way you look at it, Miss Prater, the facts point out that you killed your husband.
No, why not admit it?
I didn't want to kill him. I only wanted to make him sick. Just sick, that's all. So I'd stop drinking, stay home a little bit. I didn't want to kill him. I didn't mean it. I didn't want the money. I just wanted him home with me.
That's enough. Frank, you want to call the stenographer?
Yeah, Joe.
You can understand it, can't you, Mr. Friday?
Ma'am?
You can understand it? I thought he was running around. I wanted him home with me and Ray and Mother. A nice little home for Ray. That's all I wanted. Is that wrong? Something nice for Ray. Is that wrong?
Well, I don't know.
What?
What's he got now?
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 13th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, you know best of anyone what you're looking for in a king-size cigarette. So here's all I ask you to do. Try Fatima's and then make up your own mind. If you're looking for an extra mild and soothing smoke and a really different flavor and aroma, then Fatima is the king-size cigarette for you. Ask for Fatima in the bright sunny yellow pack. King-size Fatima. The difference is quality.
Ellen Adelaide Prater was tried and found guilty of murder in the first degree. She was sentenced to life imprisonment and is now serving her term in the state penitentiary for women. Further investigation proved that the mother-in-law, Mrs. Ruth Atkins, was unaware of the intention of her daughter to kill her husband. She was not connected in any way with the death of Alfred Prater. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Herb Ellis, June Whitley, Sammy Ogg, Virginia Gregg. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
King Size Fatima has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.